What are you doing here? I explicitly told you never interrupt my meetings. Tasha stood in the doorway of that closed meeting room, 5 pairs of eyes turning toward her like she'd committed a crime. His executive shifted uncomfortably. Every instinct screamed, "Run!" Instead, Tasha spoke 5 words that detonated his world. "I can speak 9 languages." The billionaire CEO, who'd treated her like furniture for 3 years, laughed until tears streamed down his face, but he had no idea what was about to happen next. Hello, my beautiful family. Welcome back. If this is your first time watching one of our videos, we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us bring you even more powerful stories. Stick with us till the very end, and if this story moves you, drop your thoughts in the comments and share it with a friend. Now, let's begin.
Tyler Ashford's fingers gripped the phone so hard his knuckles went bone white against the glass wall of his penthouse office. Below him, the Boston harbor spread out like a promise. Gray water, white boats, the city pulsing with Friday afternoon traffic. None of it registered. His entire world had collapsed into the voice crackling through his speaker. "I understand this is difficult, Mr. Ashford, but my mother's stroke." "I don't care about your mother." The words came out flat. Tyler pressed his palm against the glass. Cold seeped through. "The merger happens Monday morning. 9 international investors. 9 different primary languages. You signed a contract." Silence on the other end. Then, "Sue me." The line went dead. Tyler hurled his phone across the room. It hit the cream-colored wall, cracked, and clattered to the hardwood floor. He didn't move to pick it up. His reflection stared back from the window. 6'2", sandy blonde hair going silver at the temples, steel gray eyes that usually made grown men flinch. Right now those eyes looked hollow. 3 years. 3 years building this merger. Ashford International swallowing Nakamura Technologies and 4 European firms in one coordinated strike. $6 billion. His father's company would triple in size overnight. The old man's legacy, the empire that crushed him under its weight for 41 years, would finally be his to reshape. If he could find a translator who spoke Mandarin, Japanese, French, German, Arabic, Russian, Portuguese, Italian, and Spanish by Monday morning. He walked to his desk, past the Tang Dynasty vase his father bought at auction for $2 million, past the Moroccan tapestries, the Italian marble sculptures, the objects that mattered more to Howard Ashford than his own children. Tyler had kept them after the funeral. Reminders. Warnings. Proof he'd won. His laptop screen glowed with the merger documents. Hundreds of pages. Months of negotiations. Leonard had called it the deal of the decade. Tyler called it survival. Every company his father built, every cold calculation, every sacrifice, it all led here. To Monday. To proof that Tyler Ashford wasn't just Howard's disappointing son who studied philosophy instead of business, who questioned instead of obeying. His office door opened. Leonard Freeman stuck his head in, wire-rimmed glasses catching the afternoon light. "Tyler, I heard something break. Get me another translator. Now." Leonard's thin face went gray. "I've called 17 agencies. Everyone's booked or doesn't have the language combination. Thanksgiving week, everyone's. I don't want excuses. I want solutions." "There might not be a solution." Leonard's voice dropped. "We could postpone." "No." Tyler turned from the window. "My father spent 30 years building this company. He died believing I'd destroy it. Every board member thinks I'm too soft, too idealistic, too philosophical to run Ashford International." He moved closer to Leonard. "Monday morning, I prove them wrong. Or I prove my father right." Leonard nodded slowly. "I'll keep trying." "You do that." After Leonard left, Tyler sank into his leather chair. His chest felt tight. He loosened his navy tie, popped the top button of his shirt. The office smelled like expensive leather and his father's ghost. Sometimes Tyler swore he could still hear Howard's voice. "Weakness is genetic, son. I see it in you. Your sister got the strength. You got your mother's bleeding heart. His sister Caroline hadn't spoken to him in 2 years. Not since he refused to pay for her rehab the 4th time. You're just like him, she'd screamed. Cold. Made of money and ice. Tyler opened his desk drawer. Pulled out the photograph he kept hidden under contracts. Anna Kowalski. His ex-fiancée. Auburn hair, blue eyes, the smile she wore before she left. Her goodbye letter was still folded behind the photo. You don't see people, Tyler. You see assets or obstacles. I can't marry someone who doesn't see me. He shoved the photo back. That was 3 years ago. He'd changed. Built the company bigger. Made smarter decisions. Proved he didn't need anyone. But Monday morning, he needed a miracle. His phone buzzed. The cracked screen still worked. A text from building management. Cleaning service arriving 4 p.m. Tyler glanced at his watch. 3:47 p.m. He'd forgotten. Friday was deep cleaning day. That same day at 3:15 p.m., Tasha Wilson's key stuck in the lock of her apartment door. She jiggled it, exhausted hands shaking. Behind her, the November wind cut down the narrow Dorchester Street, carrying the smell of fried fish from the corner restaurant and diesel from the bus that just pulled away. The lock gave. She stumbled inside. The apartment was small. 1 bedroom, kitchenette, bathroom with tiles that hadn't been white since 1987. But it was hers. Hers and Grandma Rose's. Tasha dropped her bag by the door, kicked off her sneakers, and collapsed onto the sagging couch. Her feet screamed. 12-hour shift at Boston Medical Center. Cleaning rooms where people died and were born and everything between. Then straight here for 30 minutes before her second job started at 4. She closed her eyes. The apartment was quiet except for the radiator's hiss. Rose was at her Friday afternoon church group. The silence felt like grace. Tasha's phone alarm went off. 3:25 p.m. 5 minutes to change, grab her cleaning supplies from the closet, catch the bus to Back Bay. She dragged herself up. Her reflection caught in the bathroom mirror as she passed. 34 years old. Warm brown skin, dark brown eyes that used to spark with something she couldn't name anymore. Her natural black hair was pulled back simple and practical. No makeup. No time. She looked tired. She looked invisible. Tasha changed into her powder blue cleaning uniform, the one with Supreme Cleaning Services embroidered over the pocket. White collar, white trim. She'd worn this uniform or ones like it for 6 years. Sometimes she forgot what her own clothes felt like. In the kitchenette, she grabbed the container of leftovers Rose had saved. Red beans and rice. Tasha ate standing up, mechanical, tasting nothing. Her eyes drifted to the bookshelf wedged between the refrigerator and the wall. 12 books. That's all she'd kept. Advanced Mandarin grammar. Conversational Arabic. Russian literature in translation. The Romance languages. A linguistic introduction. Each spine was cracked, pages dog-eared. She used to have hundreds. Used to have an office at Boston University. Used to be Dr. Tasha Wilson, PhD candidate in linguistics, specializing in simultaneous interpretation and cognitive language processing. Used to be someone. That was before her parents' car accident 7 years ago. Before the medical bills. Before she dropped out to take care of Rose, who'd had the first stroke and couldn't be alone. Before the hospital cleaning job and the private cleaning clients who paid cash under the table. Before she learned that a black woman with a master's degree and fluency in 9 languages still ended up scrubbing toilets if life hit hard enough. Tasha rinsed her container. Put it in the drying rack. Her reflection in the window showed her the uniform, the exhaustion, the woman she'd become. She grabbed her bag and left. The elevator rode smooth and silent to the 47th floor. Tasha stood alone, her cleaning caddy at her feet, watching the numbers climb. Her Friday route. Executive floors. The penthouse offices. Tyler Ashford's private space. She'd been cleaning his office for 3 years. Twice a week. Monday mornings and Friday afternoons. She knew the layout better than her own apartment. Knew which artifacts he actually cared about versus which ones were just expensive. Knew his coffee cup always had one sip left at the bottom. Knew he never looked at her face. The elevator opened into the reception area. Glass, steel, leather furniture in charcoal gray and forest green. Empty now. The receptionist gone for the weekend. Tasha's shoes made no sound on the thick carpet as she moved through the space toward Tyler's private office wing. His door was closed. She heard his voice, muffled, angry, desperate. She knocked twice, soft. What? The word exploded through the door. Tasha opened it 6 inches. Tyler stood at his window, phone pressed to his ear. He glanced at her, waved her in without pausing his conversation. She slipped inside. Don't care what it costs. I need someone who can handle Mandarin, Japanese, French, German. He paced. Tasha set her caddy down quietly near the door. Arabic, Russian, Portuguese, Italian, Spanish. All 9. Fluently. By Monday morning. She pulled out her microfiber cloths, her wood polish, moved toward the bookshelf on the far wall, as far from him as possible. The routine was automatic. Start with surfaces. Work around him. Become invisible. That's not good enough. Tyler's voice rose. His free hand gestured sharply. He was 3 feet from the Tang Dynasty vase. I don't want your excuses. I want. He stopped, spun around, locked eyes on Tasha as she reached toward a shelf near the vase. Don't touch that. He covered the phone's mouthpiece. That vase is 2,000 years old and worth more than you can imagine. Be careful. Tasha pulled her hand back, nodded, moved to a different shelf. Tyler returned to his call. Sorry. My cleaning person nearly knocked over a priceless artifact. As I was saying. Tasha's hands moved mechanically. Dust the books. Polish the wood. She heard everything. The cancelled translator. The 9 languages. The Monday morning merger. $6 billion hanging in the balance. His world ending. She said nothing. Don't go near my desk, Tyler barked suddenly, not even looking at her. Those documents are confidential. Just do the floors, empty the trash, and leave. She adjusted her route. Started on the far side of the office. The Moroccan tapestry needed careful attention. She worked slowly, methodically. Tyler paced like a caged animal, his voice cycling through anger, desperation, forced calm, back to anger. Tasha knew 5 translator services in Boston that specialized in rare language combinations. Knew 3 freelancers who might take a rush weekend job. Knew exactly how to structure the interpretation for a complex merger negotiation. She'd written her master's thesis on simultaneous interpretation in high-stakes business environments. She moved to the next section. Emptied his trash can. The crumpled paper inside showed crossed-out lists, phone numbers, desperate scribbles. Tyler ended a call. Immediately dialed another. Leonard. Tell me you found someone. Anyone. Pause. Damn it. He walked to his desk. Sat down hard. Didn't look at Tasha as she worked around the edges of the room. To him, she was furniture. A function. She cleaned. That was her entire existence in his world. Tasha finished the shelves. Moved to vacuum the carpet. Tyler stood abruptly, walked to the window, leaving her space to work. His shoulders were tight. Even from behind, she could read the tension in his body, the way his hand pressed against the glass, how his head dropped forward. He was terrified. Something twisted in her chest. Not quite sympathy. Not quite satisfaction. Something more complicated. She finished vacuuming. Gathered her supplies. Tyler didn't turn around as she moved toward the door. Monday morning, he said quietly, more to himself than her. Everything falls apart Monday morning. Tasha paused, her hand on the doorknob. She could speak. Could tell him. Could watch his face when he realized the invisible black maid he'd dismissed for 3 years held the solution to his entire crisis. She opened the door and left without a word. Tyler stood in his empty office as sunset bled orange across the harbor. His phone lay on his desk, silent now. Leonard had exhausted every contact. The board members were calling, their voices tight with concern. Monday loomed like an execution date. He thought about his father's funeral. The speeches about Howard's brilliance, his vision, his ruthless efficiency. Tyler had stood at the grave and felt nothing. Caroline had sobbed. Tyler had felt nothing. "You're broken inside," Anna had told him once. "You know that, right? Something's missing." Maybe she was right. His office door had closed hours ago behind the cleaning woman. He couldn't remember her name. Couldn't remember her face. Just the uniform, the careful movements, the way she'd pulled her hand back from his vase like he'd slapped her. "Worth more than you can imagine," he'd said. Tyler looked at the vase. His father's prize. $2 million for clay and glaze and history. Howard had loved it more than he'd loved his children. Tyler picked up his phone. The cracked screen reflected his face back, fractured and wrong. He dialed Leonard. "First thing Monday morning, cancel the merger meeting. Tell them I need 2 more weeks. Tyler, they'll walk. You know they'll walk." Then they walk. He ended the call, sat down in his chair, stared at the city lights starting to blink on below. Everything his father built. Everything Tyler had tried to prove. All of it collapsing because he couldn't find one person who spoke 9 languages. The universe, apparently, had a sense of irony. Tasha walked into her apartment. Rose was home, stirring a pot on the stove. The smell of collard greens filled the small space. "Baby, you look worn through." Rose turned, wooden spoon in hand. At 76, her grandmother still moved like a woman 20 years younger. The stroke had slowed her, but not stopped her. "Sit down. I made extra." "I'm not hungry, Grandma." "Sit anyway." Tasha sat. Rose brought her a glass of sweet tea, pressed it into her hands. The glass was cold. Tasha's hands were shaking. "What happened?" Rose sat across from her. "Nothing happened." Tasha Louise Wilson. "I raised you. I know when nothing is something." Tasha took a long drink. The sweetness hurt her teeth. "There's this man. The one I clean for on Fridays. He's desperate. Needs someone who speaks 9 languages. Has some big business deal Monday morning. His translator quit." Rose waited. "He doesn't know," Tasha continued. Her voice came out flat. "For 3 years I've cleaned his office. He's never asked my name. Never looked at my face. Today he yelled at me about his vase. Told me to be careful because it's worth more than I can imagine." "But you could help him." "Yes. So why didn't you?" Tasha set down her glass. "Because he sees a maid. That's all. A black woman in a uniform who empties his trash. If I told him I speak 9 languages, he'd laugh in my face. Or he wouldn't believe me. Or..." She stopped. "Or he'd believe me and still treat me the same way. Like I'm nothing." Rose reached across the table, took Tasha's hand in both of hers. Her palms were warm, rough from decades of work. "Baby, you're not nothing. You never were. I know that. Do you?" Rose squeezed tighter. "Because you've been making yourself small for so long, I think you forgot what it feels like to stand up tall." Tasha looked at their joined hands. "What if I speak up and it changes nothing? What if I'm still invisible? Then you're invisible standing tall instead of invisible on your knees. One of those you can live with. The other kills you slow." Tasha pulled her hand back, stood, walked to the window. Outside, the Dorchester Street was dark except for streetlights. Cars passed. People walked by. The world kept moving whether she spoke or stayed silent. "Monday morning," Rose said behind her. "You're scheduled to clean his office. Aren't you?" "Yes." "Then you'll have a choice to make." Tasha didn't answer. She watched the street. Somewhere across the city, Tyler Ashford sat in his tower, surrounded by artifacts worth millions, drowning in his own desperation. And she held the lifeline he'd never think to ask for. Tyler hadn't slept. His penthouse office looked like a crime scene. Coffee cups lined the window ledge, 6 of them, all half empty. Documents scattered across his desk in chaotic piles. His navy suit jacket hung crooked on the chair back. His shirt sleeves were rolled to his elbows, tie loosened and hanging like a noose around his neck. He'd spent 14 hours calling every translator, every agency, every university linguistics department from Boston to New York. His voice had gone hoarse around 3 a.m. Now it scraped out like sandpaper. Leonard sat across from him, looking worse. The executive assistant had bags under his eyes that could carry groceries. His wire-rimmed glasses sat crooked on his face. Millbrook Translation Services says they have someone who speaks 7 of the 9 languages. Leonard scrolled through his tablet. They could bring in a second translator for the remaining 2. No. Tyler stood, paced to the window. Saturday morning traffic moved below like blood through veins. The investors will see it as weakness. 2 translators means we couldn't find 1 qualified person. It signals incompetence. Tyler, we're running out of options. We're running out of time. Options we still have. He turned back. What about universities? Graduate students in linguistics programs. I called MIT, Harvard, BU, Tufts. They're international student offices. They're linguistics departments. Everyone's on Thanksgiving break. Most students left campus Wednesday. Tyler's phone buzzed. He grabbed it. His younger cousin Rebecca. He declined the call. She'd want to discuss Thanksgiving dinner at Aunt Patricia's house on Thursday. Tyler had more important things than turkey and forced family smiles. His screen showed 9:22 a.m. 58 hours until Monday morning. 58 hours until 16 investors walked into his conference room expecting flawless communication across 9 languages. 58 hours until his father's empire either expanded or exploded. Keep calling. Tyler moved back to his desk. There has to be someone. Leonard nodded, exhausted. His tablet glowed with spreadsheets of names, numbers, agencies. They'd contacted 247 people so far. Tyler knew because he'd counted. The office door opened. Tyler's head snapped up, ready to bark at whoever dared interrupt. Tasha stood in the doorway, her cleaning caddy in hand. She wore the same powder blue uniform. Her dark brown eyes met his for half a second before dropping to the floor. I'm sorry, Mr. Ashford. Her voice came out quiet, careful. I didn't know anyone was here. Saturday isn't usually my day, but Supreme Cleaning called and said you'd requested an extra session before Monday's big meeting. Tyler stared at her. He'd forgotten. Yesterday in his panic, he'd called the cleaning service and demanded someone come Saturday to make sure his office was immaculate for the investors. Make the right impression. Control what he could control. Fine. Whatever. He waved her in dismissively. Just stay out of the way. We're working. Tasha nodded. Entered. Set her caddy down near the door with movements so quiet they barely registered. She pulled out her cloths and spray bottles like a magician preparing tricks no one would applaud. Tyler turned back to Leonard. What about corporate headhunters? They must have databases of multilingual executives. I tried 6 firms. None have anyone available on this timeline with this specific combination. Leonard rubbed his eyes behind his glasses. Tyler, I think we need to seriously consider postponing. No. The word came out sharp. My father spent 3 years negotiating the preliminary framework for this merger. I've spent 3 more years making it real. The contracts are signed. The investors are flying in from Tokyo, Paris, Berlin, Dubai, Moscow. You want me to call them now and say we need 2 more weeks because we can't find a translator? Better than losing the deal entirely because we tried to proceed without one. Tasha moved to the bookshelf. She sprayed, wiped, her movements economical and practiced. She might as well have been a ghost. Tyler's eyes passed over her without stopping, the way they'd passed over furniture. He grabbed his phone, dialed a number he'd been avoiding. It rang 4 times before a crisp voice answered. Caroline. Tyler. His sister's voice could freeze water. I'm surprised. You usually only call when you want something. I need a favor. Of course you do. Tyler gritted his teeth. Your ex-husband, Jerome. He works in international consulting. He must know translators. Silence. Then Caroline laughed, bitter and sharp. You're unbelievable. You refused to help me when I was drowning. Now you want me to call my ex-husband, the man whose heart I broke because I was too messed up to be a decent wife, and ask him for a favor for you. This is business. It's not personal. Everything's personal. Tyler. That's your problem. You think you can separate the two, but you can't. You treat everyone like assets on a balance sheet. She paused. How's that working out for you? Caroline. No. Figure it out yourself. The line went dead. Tyler threw his phone onto his desk. It skidded across papers and stopped just before the edge. Leonard winced. She's right, you know. Leonard's voice was quiet. Excuse me. Your sister. She's right. You treat people like assets or obstacles. That's why Anna left. That's why Caroline won't speak to you. That's why your entire executive team walks on eggshells. Tyler's hands clenched. You're my assistant, Leonard. Your job is to assist, not psychoanalyze. My job is to tell you the truth when you're about to drive off a cliff. Leonard stood. And right now, you're so desperate to prove your father wrong that you can't see you're becoming exactly like him. Get out. Tyler. Get out of my office. Now. Leonard gathered his tablet. Walked to the door. Stopped. I'll keep making calls from my office. But you should think about what I said. He left. The silence that followed felt thick enough to choke on. Tyler stood at his desk, breathing hard. His reflection caught in the window glass. Steel gray eyes. Sharp jaw. Sandy blonde hair disarranged from running his hands through it too many times. He looked like his father. The thought made something twist in his chest. Howard Ashford had died at his desk, working through his third heart attack because stopping meant weakness. Tyler had found him slumped over contracts, pen still in his hand. The funeral director said Howard's face looked angry even in death. Tyler walked to the Tang Dynasty vase. Touched its cool surface. $2 million. 2,000 years of history. His father's greatest prize. Objects last, Howard used to say. People disappoint. Invest in what endures. Mr. Ashford? Tyler spun. He'd forgotten the cleaning woman was still in the room. She stood near his desk, holding a trash can liner. Her face was carefully neutral. What? The word came out harsher than he intended. Your trash. May I empty it? Yes. Fine. Just do it quietly. Tasha moved to his desk. Pulled the bin out from underneath. Tyler watched her hands. Careful, efficient, no wasted motion. She tied the bag, replaced it with a fresh liner, set the bin back in place. Never looked at him directly. Also, she said softly, there's coffee spilled on your carpet near the window. I can treat the stain now or come back after you leave. Tyler glanced over. She was right. He'd knocked over a cup at some point during the night. Dark liquid stained the cream carpet like a bruise. Do it now. I don't care. Tasha nodded. Went to her caddy. Pulled out bottles and scrub brushes. Knelt by the stain. Started working. Tyler returned to his desk. Opened his laptop. Pulled up the merger documents for the 100th time. Nakamura Technologies. 4 European investment firms. Contractual obligations spanning 847 pages. Every clause negotiated in English, then translated into the primary language of each signatory. His legal team had spent 11 months on translations alone. And now it would all collapse because he couldn't find one person who spoke 9 languages fluently. His phone buzzed. Text from his Aunt Patricia. Thanksgiving Thursday, 2 p.m. Please come. Caroline will be there. You two need to talk. Tyler deleted it without responding. Another buzz. Unknown number. He opened it. Mr. Ashford, this is Dr. Helena Wright from the MIT Linguistics Department. Leonard Freeman contacted me about your translation needs. I may have a solution. Call me. Tyler's heart jumped. He dialed immediately. Dr. Wright, this is Tyler Ashford. Mr. Ashford, your assistant explained your situation. I have a former student who might be able to help. She's currently teaching at a private language academy in Cambridge. Fluent in 8 languages, conversational in several others. I need 9 languages. Fluently. 8 is remarkable. Most professional translators handle 3, maybe 4 at native proficiency. Most professional translators aren't trying to save a $6 billion merger. Tyler's voice rose. I need someone who can seamlessly interpret technical business terminology in Mandarin, Japanese, French, German, Arabic, Russian, Portuguese, Italian, and Spanish. 8 isn't good enough. Silence on the other end. Then Dr. Wright's voice went cold. I was trying to help. Good luck finding your unicorn, Mr. Ashford. She hung up. Tyler slammed his laptop shut. Stood. Paced. His office felt like a cage. 57 hours. 57 hours and counting. Behind him, Tasha continued scrubbing the carpet stain. Her movements were steady, methodical. She'd been in his office for 40 minutes and he'd barely registered her presence. She was background noise. Scenery. The way housekeepers were supposed to be. She stood, gathering her supplies. The stain was gone. The carpet looked perfect. Is there anything else, Mr. Ashford? Tyler turned. Looked at her directly for the first time. Really looked. She was maybe mid-30s. Average height. Her uniform fit neatly but showed nothing of who she was underneath. Her hair was pulled back simple and clean. No jewelry. No makeup. Her dark brown eyes held something he couldn't name. Intelligence. Wariness. Both. No. You're done. Leave. Something flickered across her face. Too fast to read. She nodded, packed her caddy, and walked to the door. Tyler returned to his window. Watched the city. Heard the door open behind him. Mr. Ashford? Her voice was quieter now. Almost tentative. What? He didn't turn around. I heard you talking yesterday. About needing a translator. 9 languages. So. Irritation crept into his voice. Unless you know someone, it's not your concern. Pause. Long enough that Tyler almost turned to see if she'd left. I don't know anyone. I'm sorry. Her voice was even softer. I hope you find someone. The door closed. Tyler stood alone in his perfect office, surrounded by his father's artifacts, drowning in his own desperation. Below him, Boston moved through its Saturday morning. People going about their lives. Shopping. Eating. Living. He walked to his desk. Sat down. Opened his laptop again. The merger documents glowed on the screen. Nakamura Technologies. The Japanese firm his father had coveted for decades. Hiroshi Tanaka and Dr. Yuki Nakamura would arrive Monday morning expecting flawless professionalism. The French investors, Philippe Rousseau and his team, would speak only French during negotiations. They'd made that clear from the beginning. A power play. A test of respect. The German, Arabic, Russian, Portuguese, Italian, and Spanish representatives each had their own linguistic requirements. Each had their own pride. Their own need to be heard in their native tongue. And Tyler had nothing. His phone rang. Leonard. I found someone. Leonard's voice was cautious. She's a grad student at BU. Speaks 6 languages fluently, 2 conversationally, 1 at intermediate level. That's 9 total, but the proficiency levels vary. Not good enough. Tyler, it's the best option we have. It's not good enough. Tyler's voice bounced off the walls. I need perfect. I need flawless. I need someone who can switch between Mandarin and Arabic without hesitation, who understands business terminology in all 9 languages, who won't embarrass me in front of investors who are looking for any excuse to walk away from this deal. Silence. Then we postpone, Leonard said finally. Tyler ended the call. He sat in the silence. His office smelled like cleaning solution and desperation. The carpet where Tasha had scrubbed looked immaculate. She'd removed the stain completely, like the spilled coffee had never existed. She'd been so quiet, so invisible. He hadn't even caught her name on the uniform. Tyler pulled up his contacts. Found Supreme Cleaning Services. Dialed. Supreme Cleaning, how may I help you? This is Tyler Ashford. I need your employee's name. The woman who just cleaned my office. One moment. Keyboard clicks. That would be Tasha Wilson, sir. Is there a problem? No. No problem. He hung up. Tasha Wilson. 3 years she'd been cleaning his office and he'd never known her name. Never asked. She was furniture. Wallpaper. Invisible. Tyler stared at the merger documents on his screen. 9 languages. 56 hours. He thought about Tasha's voice at the door. I hope you find someone. Something about it had sounded wrong. Not the words. The tone. Like she was apologizing for something she hadn't done. Tyler shook his head. Exhaustion was making him paranoid. The cleaning woman had nothing to do with his crisis. She'd overheard his problem, expressed generic sympathy, and left. That was all. He had bigger problems than analyzing the emotional subtext of a housekeeper's pleasantries. His phone buzzed. Another text from Aunt Patricia. Another invitation to Thanksgiving dinner. Another reminder that his family was scattered and broken and he was too busy building empires to care. Tyler opened a new browser tab. Searched for translation services in Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., New York. If Boston had no answers, maybe another city would. Outside his window, clouds gathered over the harbor. Weather report said rain tomorrow. Storm front moving in. Tyler kept searching, kept calling, kept drowning. And somewhere in Dorchester, Tasha Wilson stood in her small apartment, staring at her bookshelf, deciding whether to let him drown or throw him a rope he'd never think to grab. Tasha sat on her couch staring at her phone. The screen was black, but she kept staring anyway, like it might suddenly offer answers she couldn't find in her own head. Rose was in the kitchen making cornbread. The smell filled the apartment, warm and familiar. Outside, the November afternoon had gone gray. Rain was coming. Tasha could feel it in the air, that electric pressure before a storm. Her uniform was draped over the chair by the door. Still powder blue. Still anonymous. She'd walked out of Tyler Ashford's office 3 hours ago and hadn't moved much since. Just sat here. Thinking. Wrestling. You're awful quiet, Rose called from the kitchen. I'm tired. That's not tired. That's wrestling with something. Rose appeared in the doorway, flower on her hands. You want to tell me what happened? Tasha looked up at her grandmother. 76 years old and still reading her like a book with large print. I almost told him. Almost. I stood at his door. I had the words ready. Then I just couldn't. Tasha's hands clenched in her lap. He was so desperate, Grandma. Calling everyone. Getting angry. Treating his assistant like garbage because nothing was working. And I stood there cleaning his carpet thinking, I could fix this. Right now. One sentence. Rose came over, sat down beside her. But you didn't. No. Why not? Tasha was quiet for a long time. Outside, the first drops of rain started hitting the window. Soft at first. Testing. Because he doesn't see me, Tasha said finally. 3 years I've cleaned his office. He doesn't know my name. Doesn't know I exist beyond the service I provide. Today he looked right at me and his eyes just passed over me like I was furniture. So you want him to see you first before you help him. Is that wrong? Rose took Tasha's hand. Baby, I can't tell you what's right. But I can tell you what happens if you stay silent. You go back to his office Monday morning. You clean while his world falls apart. Then you leave. And nothing changes. You stay invisible. He stays blind. Both of you stay exactly where you are. And if I speak up and he laughs in my face? Or doesn't believe me? Or believes me but still treats me the same way? Then at least you know. At least you tried. Rose squeezed tighter. But staying silent isn't protecting yourself, Tasha. It's punishing yourself. You've been punishing yourself for 7 years because life knocked you down and you decided you deserved to stay down. That's not fair. Isn't it? Rose's voice was gentle but firm. You had 1 semester left on your PhD. 1 semester. Your advisor at BU called here 4 times begging you to come back. Said he'd get you a full scholarship, find you grant money, whatever you needed. You said no. I had to take care of you. I didn't need taking care of. I had a stroke, not a death sentence. I was back on my feet in 3 months. But you decided I was your excuse to quit. Tasha pulled her hand back, stood, walked to the window. Rain came down harder now, blurring the street below into impressionist streaks. I didn't quit. Life made choices for me. Life gave you circumstances. You made choices. Rose stayed on the couch. Your parents dying was a tragedy. The medical bills were real. But you turned tragedy into a prison. You locked yourself in there and threw away the key. I had to survive. Surviving isn't the same as living, baby. Tasha pressed her forehead against the cold glass. The rain sounded like static, like white noise, like nothing. She thought about Tyler Ashford in his office. His expensive suit with the sleeves rolled up. His voice gone hoarse from phone calls. His gray eyes hollow with exhaustion and fear. She thought about the moment she'd stood at his door, the words right there on her tongue. I can speak 9 languages. I can save you. She thought about how she'd swallowed them back down. How she'd apologized instead. How she'd made herself smaller and quieter and walked out. What if I help him and nothing changes? Tasha's voice was barely audible. What if I save his entire company and on Tuesday I'm back to cleaning his toilets? Then you know what kind of man he is. And you move on. It's not that simple. It never is. Rose stood, came to the window, put her arm around Tasha's shoulders. But staying silent guarantees nothing changes. Speaking up at least gives change a chance. They stood there together watching the rain. Tasha's phone buzzed. She pulled it out. Text from Supreme Cleaning Services. Monday schedule confirmed. Ashford Tower 8 a.m. Usual client. Monday morning. 8 a.m. Right when Tyler's world would be ending. Tasha closed her eyes. Tyler's apartment was 1,200 square feet of exposed brick, hardwood floors, and furniture that looked expensive because it was. Floor-to-ceiling windows. No, scratch that. Large windows. Modern kitchen he never used. A bedroom he rarely slept in. He stood in his living room holding a glass of scotch he hadn't drunk. The rain outside made the city look blurred and distant. His phone was on the coffee table, screen up, waiting for calls that weren't coming. Leonard had texted an hour ago, taking the rest of the weekend off. We'll figure something out Monday morning. Translation: we're out of options. Tyler had tried 17 more calls after Leonard left. Translation agencies in D.C., New York, Philadelphia, even Chicago. Same story everywhere. Weekend before Thanksgiving. Everyone booked. Nobody available. The few who had availability didn't have the language combination he needed. One agency owner in New York had been blunt. Mr. Ashford, what you're asking for doesn't exist. 9 languages at native fluency? That's a unicorn. You need to either reduce your requirements or postpone your meeting. Tyler had hung up on him too. Now he stood in his apartment watching rain and feeling his father's ghost breathing down his neck. Howard Ashford had never accepted excuses. Never accepted failure. You find solutions or you find new employment, he'd told Tyler once when a deal fell through. Tyler had been 26, newly hired at his father's company, trying to prove himself. The deal had fallen through because the client had died of a heart attack mid-negotiation. Howard hadn't cared. Dead clients are just obstacles. Work around them. Tyler's phone rang. He grabbed it fast. Unknown number. This is Tyler Ashford. Mr. Ashford, this is Patricia. His aunt's voice was strained. I'm calling about Thursday. I'm not coming to Thanksgiving. Tyler, please. Caroline will be there. Rebecca. Your cousins. We're family. We need to. I don't have time for family dinners. I have a company to run. You have a life to live. There's a difference. Is there? Tyler's voice came out bitter. Because last I checked, the company is all I have. Caroline hates me. Rebecca thinks I'm cold. You all look at me and see Howard. So why pretend otherwise? Silence on the other end. Then Patricia's voice quieter. We look at you and see someone who's drowning. We're trying to throw you a rope, but you keep swimming further out. I'm fine. No, Tyler. You're not. And one day you're going to look around and realize you sacrificed everything real for something hollow. The company isn't hollow. It's my father's legacy. Your father's legacy was loneliness and heart attacks. Is that really what you want? Tyler ended the call, threw his phone onto the couch, walked to his window. The city below was alive with Saturday evening. Restaurants filling up. People walking under umbrellas. Couples holding hands. Lives being lived while he stood alone in his expensive apartment holding scotch he couldn't taste. He thought about Anna. Her goodbye letter. You don't see people, Tyler. You see assets or obstacles. He thought about Caroline. You treat everyone like numbers on a balance sheet. He thought about Leonard this morning. You're becoming exactly like him. Tyler drained the scotch in one swallow. It burned. He welcomed it. His laptop sat on the coffee table. He opened it. Pulled up the merger documents again. Nakamura Technologies. $6 billion. 3 years of work. His father's dream. His prison. The document stared back at him. Page 1 of 847. He'd memorized most of it. Every clause, every contingency, every carefully worded obligation. This merger would make Ashford International the third largest tech consulting firm in North America. It would prove Tyler wasn't just Howard's disappointing son. It would prove he could build instead of destroy. If he could find a translator. Tyler closed the laptop. Stood. Paced his apartment like he'd paced his office. 1,200 square feet felt like a coffin. His phone buzzed. He grabbed it hoping for a miracle. Text from Rebecca. Uncle Tyler, please come Thursday. I miss you. Rebecca was 23. Sweet. Naive. Still believed family meant something. Tyler remembered being 23. That optimism hadn't survived long in Howard's company. He typed back. Can't make it. Work. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Finally, you always say that. Tyler didn't respond. Put his phone face down. Returned to the window. The rain was heavier now. Real November rain. Cold and relentless. He watched it streak down the glass. Thought about Monday morning. 16 investors in his conference room. No translator. The moment his entire empire collapsed because he couldn't solve one simple problem. Find someone who speaks 9 languages. His mind went back to his office. To the cleaning woman. Tasha. He'd finally learned her name after 3 years. She'd been so quiet this morning. So careful. Moving around his desperation like it was just more furniture to dust around. I hope you find someone, she'd said. Something about that moment kept nagging at him. The way she'd paused at the door. The tone of her voice. Almost like she was apologizing. Tyler shook his head. Exhaustion was making him read meaning into nothing. The woman was a housekeeper. She'd overheard his crisis and expressed polite sympathy. That was all. He pulled out his phone. Scrolled through his contacts. Stopped at Dr. Helena Wright from MIT. The woman he'd snapped at this morning. The woman who'd offered him a solution and he'd called it not good enough. Tyler stared at her number. Thought about calling back. Apologizing. Accepting 8 languages instead of 9. He put the phone down. 8 wasn't good enough. He needed perfect. His father's voice echoed in his head. Perfect or nothing. Second place is first loser. Tyler walked to his bedroom. sat on the edge of his bed. The room was dark except for the gray light from the window. Rain drummed against the glass like fingers tapping, asking to be let in. He lay back, stared at the ceiling. His chest felt tight. Breathing took effort. Monday morning. 39 hours away. 39 hours until everything he'd built came crashing down. Tyler closed his eyes. Tried to sleep. Failed. Tasha sat in the third pew from the front, Rose beside her. Pastor Williams was preaching about faith and fear. His voice boomed through the small church, rich and certain. Fear tells you to stay small, he said. Fear tells you to hide your gifts. Fear says if you speak up, you'll be rejected. But faith says speak anyway. Faith says your voice matters. Faith says God didn't give you gifts to bury them in the ground. The congregation murmured agreement. Rose squeezed Tasha's hand. Tasha stared at the stained glass window behind the pulpit. Jesus with the children. Colored light streamed through, painting the pews in blues and reds and golds. She'd sat in this church every Sunday for 34 years. Baptized here. Confirmed here. Buried her parents from here. This church knew her better than Tyler Ashford ever would. Pastor Williams continued, "Some of you are sitting on solutions to other people's problems. You're staying silent because you're afraid. Afraid of rejection. Afraid of humiliation. Afraid of being seen. But your silence isn't protecting you. It's imprisoning you." Tasha's breath caught. Rose leaned close, whispered, "He's talking to you, baby. He's talking to everyone. He's talking to you." After service, they stood outside under the church overhang while rain misted down. People greeted Rose, asked about her health, complimented Tasha's dress. A bright yellow one she saved for Sundays. The only color in her week. Mrs. Patterson stopped to chat. "Tasha, honey, I heard you're still doing cleaning work. With your education, seems like a waste." "It pays the bills." "Does it, though?" Mrs. Patterson's eyes were kind but sharp. "Or does it just keep you busy enough to avoid living?" After she walked away, Tasha turned to Rose. "Does everyone in this church think they're my therapist?" "No, baby. They're your family. And family tells you truth even when you don't want to hear it." They drove home in Rose's old Toyota, the one with the dent in the passenger door and the radio that only picked up AM stations. Gospel music played low. The windshield wipers squeaked with each pass. "You're going to his office tomorrow morning," Rose said. "Not a question. That's my job. You know what I mean." Tasha watched the rain. "I don't know what I'm going to do yet." "Yes, you do. You're just scared to admit it." They pulled up to their apartment building. Sat in the car listening to rain on the roof. Finally Rose spoke again. "Your mother would be proud of you no matter what you choose. You know that, right?" Tasha's throat went tight. "Mama would tell me to speak up." "Yes, she would. Daddy would tell me to protect myself first." "Also true." Rose turned to face her. "But you're not them. You're Tasha Louise Wilson, PhD candidate who speaks 9 languages. Woman who survived tragedy and kept going. Daughter of God who has gifts the world needs. So the question isn't what would they do. The question is what will you do?" Tasha closed her eyes. Saw Tyler's office in her mind. Saw him pacing, desperate, blind. Saw herself walking in Monday morning with her cleaning caddy and her powder blue uniform and her invisible presence. Saw 2 possible futures splitting from that moment. In one, she stayed silent. Cleaned his office. Left. Stayed exactly where she was forever. In the other, she spoke. And everything changed. For better or worse, everything changed. "I'm scared," Tasha whispered. "I know, baby. But you're brave too. Those things can live together." They went inside. The apartment felt smaller than usual. Tasha changed out of her yellow dress into sweatpants and a Boston University t-shirt. The shirt was 8 years old, from her graduate program. She rarely wore it. Today it felt like armor. She sat on her couch, pulled out her phone, Googled Tyler Ashford. Pages of results. Photos of him at charity galas, business conferences, ribbon cuttings. In every photo he looked the same. Sharp suit. Steel eyes. Careful smile that didn't reach anywhere real. One article from 3 years ago. Ashford International CEO takes over after father's death. The photo showed Tyler at Howard's funeral. No expression. Just standing there like a statue. Another article from 2 years ago. Tech merger talk stall. Tyler's quote, Ashford International doesn't settle for less than optimal outcomes. Tasha read article after article. Built a picture of Tyler Ashford from pixels and words. Brilliant. Driven. Cold. Successful. Lonely. That last part wasn't in the articles. But she could see it anyway. In the photos where his eyes looked empty. In the quotes that sounded more like his father than himself. In the way he'd paced his office yesterday morning, desperate and alone. She put her phone down. Stared at her bookshelf. 9 languages stored in her brain like treasures no one wanted. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. She'd walk into his office and make a choice. Stay invisible or be seen. Stay safe or take a chance. Stay exactly where she was or step into something unknown and terrifying and possibly beautiful. Tasha stood. Walked to her bookshelf. Pulled out her advanced Mandarin grammar textbook. Flipped through pages covered in her notes from 7 years ago. Her handwriting looked young. Hopeful. Like it belonged to someone who believed her voice mattered. She closed the book. Put it back. Pulled out her phone and set an alarm for 6 a.m. Monday morning. Then she went to bed and didn't sleep at all. Tyler stood in his conference room watching dawn break over Boston Harbor. The room was ready. 22 leather chairs arranged around the custom oak table. Crystal water glasses at each place setting. Presentation screens mounted on 3 walls. Everything perfect. Everything controlled. Everything about to collapse. His phone showed 6:47 a.m. The investors would start arriving at 9 a.m. The merger meeting was scheduled for 10 a.m. sharp. 3 hours and 13 minutes until his world ended. He'd slept 90 minutes total. Maybe. His body felt like it was moving through water. His eyes burned. He'd showered, shaved, put on his best charcoal gray suit with a deep blue tie. Dressed for the funeral of his own empire. Leonard appeared in the doorway. He looked worse than Tyler felt. His wire-rimmed glasses sat crooked. His shirt was wrinkled. "I called in every favor I had," Leonard said without preamble. "Found a woman in Providence who speaks 7 languages. She's driving up now. Should be here by 8:30. 7 isn't 9. It's what we have." Leonard's voice was flat. Defeated. "She'll handle Mandarin, Japanese, French, German, and Russian. We'll have to muddle through Arabic, Portuguese, Italian, and Spanish on our own." Tyler turned from the window. "Muddle through. That's your solution. Muddle through the most important business deal of my career." "Tyler, I'm trying." "Not hard enough." Tyler moved past him, out of the conference room, down the hall to his private office. Leonard followed. "What else do you want from me?" Leonard's voice cracked. "I've made 400 phone calls. I haven't slept. I've begged, bribed, and promised things I can't deliver. There is no perfect solution. There never was." Tyler stopped at his office door. Turned. "My father would have found a way. Your father would have postponed the meeting. He was ruthless, but he wasn't stupid. My father never postponed anything in his life. Yes, he did. 3 times I know of. He called it strategic delay. Made it sound like power instead of necessity." Leonard pulled off his glasses, rubbed his eyes. "You're so desperate to not be him that you can't see when he actually made smart choices." Tyler opened his mouth to respond. His phone buzzed. Text from building security. Early arrival. Japanese delegation in lobby. Coming up now. Tyler checked his watch. 6:52 a.m. They were 2 hours early. "Get them settled in the executive lounge," Tyler said to Leonard. "Coffee, breakfast, whatever they want. Tell them I'll greet them personally at 8:30. Leonard nodded and left. Tyler entered his office and closed the door. Leaned against it. His chest felt tight again. Breathing was hard. The room spun slightly. He was having a panic attack. First one in 3 years. Last time was the day his father died. He forced himself to breathe. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. Count to 4. Again. Again. The spinning slowed. Stopped. He pushed off the door. Walked to his desk. Sat down. Opened his laptop to distract himself with something he could control. His email inbox had 247 unread messages. Most from board members asking for updates on the merger. One from his cousin Rebecca. Last chance to come to Thanksgiving Thursday. We miss you. Tyler deleted it. Opened the merger documents. Started reading page 1 for the 1,000th time. Tasha sat on the train clutching her cleaning caddy between her knees. She'd been awake since 4 a.m. Dressed since 5:30. Left the apartment at 6:45 after kissing Rose goodbye. You know what you're going to do? Rose had asked at the door. No. Liar. Tasha had smiled despite herself. I'll figure it out when I get there. Now the train rocked beneath her, carrying her toward Back Bay. Toward Tyler's building. Toward the moment she'd been wrestling with all weekend. Her powder blue uniform felt heavier than usual. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She'd rehearsed what to say 50 different ways. Each version sounded wrong in her head. Mr. Ashford, I couldn't help overhearing your situation. I speak 9 languages. Too formal. Tyler, I need to tell you something. I can help with your translator problem. Too familiar. He'd never given her permission to use his first name. I can speak 9 languages fluently. I can save your merger. Too arrogant. Too direct. The train pulled into Back Bay Station. Tasha stood. Her legs felt shaky. She stepped onto the platform with a dozen other early morning workers. The November air cut through her thin jacket. She walked the 4 blocks to Ashford Tower on autopilot. The building rose 47 stories. Glass and steel and money. She'd walked through these doors twice a week for 3 years. Today it felt different. Today it felt like walking toward a cliff edge. Building security waved her through. She took the service elevator to the 47th floor. The doors opened into the empty reception area. She was early. Her cleaning schedule said 8 a.m. It was only 7:34. Tasha walked slowly toward Tyler's private office wing. The carpet absorbed her footsteps. Everything was silent except the hum of the heating system and her own heartbeat in her ears. Tyler's office door was closed, but light showed underneath. He was inside, already drowning in his crisis. Tasha stood outside his door, raised her hand to knock, froze. What if he laughed at her? What if he didn't believe her? What if he believed her but still saw her as nothing more than the help? What if she saved his entire company and tomorrow she was back to scrubbing toilets? Her hand dropped. She turned and walked to the supply closet down the hall. Stored her cleaning caddy inside. Checked her phone. 7:39 a.m. The investors would arrive soon. The merger meeting would start. Tyler would fail. And she would have said nothing. Tasha closed the supply closet. Walked back toward Tyler's office. Stopped halfway. Pastor William's voice echoed in her head. Your silence isn't protecting you. It's imprisoning you. Rose's voice. You're brave. Act like it. Her mother's voice from 7 years ago, the last conversation before the accident. Baby girl, don't ever make yourself small for people who can't see your light. If they're blind, that's their problem. You shine anyway. Tasha took 3 steps toward Tyler's door. Stopped again. The elevator dinged behind her. She turned. 3 men in expensive suits stepped out. Japanese businessmen. One of them was older, distinguished. Gray hair. Sharp eyes that took in everything. They spoke to each other in Japanese. Tasha understood every word. Too early, the older man said. We should have waited in the hotel. Tanaka-san wanted to arrive before the others, the younger one replied. He wants to assess Ashford's state of mind. The older man noticed Tasha. His eyes passed over her uniform, dismissed her. They walked toward the executive lounge without acknowledging her existence. Tasha stood in the hallway, invisible again. She walked to the supply closet, retrieved her cleaning caddy, carried it to Tyler's office and knocked. "What?" Tyler's voice came through muffled and irritated. Tasha opened the door 6 inches. Tyler sat at his desk, laptop open, phone pressed to his ear. He looked up at her, waved her in without stopping his conversation. "No, I understand the technical difficulties," he was saying. "But the delegation from Dubai is landing at Logan in 40 minutes. They'll be here by 9 a.m. and expect everything ready." Pause. "Fine. Do what you can." He ended the call. Looked at Tasha. Really looked at her for the first time. His steel-gray eyes were bloodshot. His jaw was tight. He looked like a man standing on the edge of a building deciding whether to jump. "You're early," he said. "Yes, sir. I can come back later if—" "No. Just work quietly. I need to focus." Tasha nodded, set down her caddy, pulled out her supplies, started with the bookshelf on the far wall, as far from his desk as possible. Tyler returned to his laptop, made another call. "Leonard, where's the translator from Providence? She should be here by now." Pause. "What do you mean traffic? She left at 7 a.m. It's an hour drive. She should—" Pause. "Accident on I-95. Of course there's an accident. Because why would anything go right today?" He slammed his phone down, stood, paced to the window. Tasha sprayed her cloth, wiped the bookshelf. Her hands moved automatically while her mind raced. The translator was stuck in traffic. Tyler's desperation was getting worse. The investors were arriving early. Everything was falling apart exactly when Tasha needed to make her choice. Tyler's phone buzzed. He grabbed it. "What now?" Pause. "Both delegations? French and German? They're all here 2 hours early." Pause. "Fine. Put them in separate conference rooms. Keep them comfortable. I'll figure something out." He ended the call, turned to face his office. His eyes landed on Tasha briefly, then moved past her like she was furniture. "This is a nightmare," he muttered, more to himself than her. "Every single thing that could go wrong is going wrong." Tasha kept cleaning, kept silent. Her throat felt tight. Tyler's phone rang again. He answered. "Ashford." His voice changed, got harder. "Mr. Tanaka, you're here." "Yes. I apologize for the early hour. We're still preparing." Pause. "You want to meet now? It's barely 8 a.m. The merger meeting isn't until—" Pause. "I see. Yes. Of course. I'll be right there." He ended the call, stood frozen for 5 seconds, then grabbed his suit jacket from the chair, pulled it on, straightened his tie. His hands were shaking slightly. He walked toward the door, stopped, turned to Tasha. "Don't touch anything on my desk. And lock the door when you leave." "Yes, sir." He left. Tasha stood alone in his office. The silence pressed down like weight. She walked to his desk, looked at the merger documents glowing on his laptop screen. Page 243 of 847. Nakamura Technologies Merger Agreement. She read 3 paragraphs. Technical language about equity distribution and board representation. The kind of language that required precise translation. The kind of language that could destroy a deal if misinterpreted by even a single word. Tasha backed away from the desk, returned to her cleaning, tried to focus, failed. 15 minutes passed. The door opened. Leonard rushed in, looking frantic. "Tasha." He seemed surprised to see her. "Has Tyler been back?" "No, sir. He went to meet with Mr. Tanaka." "Damn it." Leonard pulled out his phone, made a call. "Tyler, the translator from Providence just called. Her car broke down. She's not coming. We have nothing. Pause. I don't know what to tell you. We're out of options. Pause. Yes. I know. I'm sorry. He ended the call. Looked at Tasha like he was seeing her for the first time. You've been cleaning Tyler's office for a while, right? 3 years, sir. You ever see him like this? This stressed? Tasha thought about how to answer. No, sir. Leonard laughed. No humor in it. Join the club. I've worked for him for 5 years. Never seen him close to breaking before. He ran his hand through his hair. This merger means everything to him. More than money. More than business. It's about proving he's not his father. Proving he can build something instead of just inheriting it. And it's all falling apart because we can't find one translator. He walked to the door. Stopped. Turned back to Tasha. You don't happen to speak multiple languages, do you? That would be a miracle right about now. Tasha's heart stopped. Her mouth went dry. Leonard was looking at her with desperate hope, like she might actually have an answer. This was it. The moment. She could speak. She could say yes. She could change everything. No, sir, she heard herself say. Just English. The hope died in Leonard's eyes. Yeah, of course. That would be too easy. He left. Tasha stood in the empty office. Her hands were shaking so hard she had to set down her cleaning supplies. She just lied. Directly. To Leonard's face. She walked to the window. Looked down at the city below. People going about their Monday morning. Living their lives. Making choices. Being brave. She was a coward. Her phone buzzed. Text from Rose. How's it going, baby? Tasha stared at the message. Couldn't think how to respond. She put the phone away. Finished cleaning Tyler's office on autopilot. The bookshelf. The carpet. The windows. Everything perfect. Everything exactly the way he expected. She gathered her supplies. Walked to the door. Put her hand on the handle. Behind her, Tyler's laptop screen glowed with the merger documents. His entire empire contained in 847 pages. His father's legacy. His desperate attempt to prove something to people who couldn't see him. Just like Tasha desperate to prove something to people who couldn't see her. She stood at the door. Hand on the handle. Frozen between two futures. Down the hall, she heard voices. Multiple languages. The investors gathering. The crisis building. The clock ticking down. Tasha opened the door and stepped into the hallway. Tyler sat across from Hiroshi Tanaka trying to explain the inexplicable. Philippe Rousseau had joined them 10 minutes ago. Both men watched Tyler with identical expressions. Polite. Patient. Suspicious. So to clarify, Philippe said in perfect English with a French accent, you have no translator for today's meeting. We're working on a solution, Tyler said. The meeting starts in 13 minutes, Hiroshi said. His English was formal, careful. How can you possibly find a solution in 13 minutes? I have Leonard making calls. Mr. Ashford. Hiroshi leaned forward. This merger represents 3 years of negotiation. Contracts in 9 languages. Investors who flew from 6 different countries. And you're telling us you have no way to communicate with all parties. Tyler's collar felt too tight. A situation arose. Our translator had a family emergency. We've been scrambling. Scrambling. Philippe repeated the word like it tasted bad. This does not inspire confidence. I understand your concern. Do you? Hiroshi stood. Because from where I sit, this looks like incompetence. Or worse, disrespect. Perhaps Ashford International is not ready for this merger after all. Tyler stood too. Mr. Tanaka, please. Give me 30 minutes. I will find a solution. You've had all weekend to find a solution. You've had 3 years to prepare for this meeting. And you failed. Hiroshi's voice was quiet but cut like a blade. I'm calling Tokyo. Advising them to postpone indefinitely. Please don't. The lounge door opened. Leonard rushed in. "Tyler, I need to speak with you. Now." Tyler excused himself and followed Leonard into the hallway. "Tell me you found someone." "No. But the Arabic delegation just arrived. The Portuguese team is 15 minutes out. The Italians are in the lobby. Everyone's here, Tyler. Everyone's expecting this meeting to start at 10 a.m. sharp." Tyler leaned against the wall. The hallway tilted slightly. He closed his eyes. "I'm going to have to cancel. Tell them all we're postponing. They'll walk. You know they'll walk. Then they walk." Tyler's voice came out hollow. "I have no other choice." Behind them, footsteps approached. Tyler opened his eyes. Tasha stood there, cleaning caddy in hand. Powder blue uniform. Dark brown eyes locked on his face for the first time with something that looked like determination. "Mr. Ashford," she said quietly, "I need to tell you something." Tyler stared at Tasha. His brain was moving too slow, processing too many failures at once. The cleaning woman wanted to tell him something. Now, while his empire crumbled. "Not now," he said. Started to turn away. "It's about your translator problem." Tyler stopped, turned back. Leonard was watching too now, confused. "What about it?" Tyler's voice came out sharper than he intended. Tasha's grip tightened on her cleaning caddy. Her knuckles went lighter against her brown skin. "I overheard your conversation Friday and Saturday about needing someone who speaks 9 languages." "Yes, and..." Impatience bled through every word. Tyler had 4 minutes before Hiroshi Tanaka called Tokyo and killed the merger. He didn't have time for whatever this was. "I know someone who might be able to help." Leonard stepped forward. "Who?" "We've called everyone in the Northeast. Who do you know that we don't?" Tasha's eyes stayed locked on Tyler. "Someone who's been here the whole time. Someone you never thought to ask." The hallway went very quiet. Tyler's exhausted brain tried to process what she was saying. Failed. "I don't have time for riddles," he said. "If you know someone, give me their name and number." "I'm standing right in front of you." The words hung in the air. Tyler blinked. Looked at Leonard. Leonard looked equally confused. "I don't understand," Tyler said. Tasha took a breath. "Let it out slow. I speak 9 languages fluently. Mandarin, Japanese, French, German, Arabic, Russian, Portuguese, Italian, and Spanish. I can interpret for your merger meeting." Silence. Complete silence. Tyler's brain stuttered trying to make sense of the words. The cleaning woman, the invisible person he'd dismissed for 3 years, was claiming she spoke 9 languages. Then Leonard laughed. Nervous. Disbelieving. "That's not funny." "I'm not joking," Tasha said quietly. Tyler found his voice. It came out cold. "You're a housekeeper." "Yes." "And you're telling me you speak 9 languages." "Yes." "Fluently." "Yes." The absurdity of it hit Tyler all at once. The stress, the exhaustion, the fear, it all converted into something sharp and mean. He felt his lips pull into a smile. Then a laugh. Small at first. Then bigger. "You." The word came out between laughs. "You speak 9 languages?" Tasha's face stayed neutral. "Yes." Tyler laughed harder. His shoulders shook. Tears pricked his eyes. The whole situation was so ridiculous it looped back around to hilarious. 3 years this woman cleaned his office in silence. Never spoke unless spoken to. Never gave any indication she was anything more than what she appeared. And now when his world was ending, she walks up and claims to be exactly what he needs. It was the universe's final joke. The punchline to his entire miserable weekend. "That's perfect," Tyler managed between laughs. His voice was getting louder. People were probably hearing him down the hall. He didn't care. "The cleaning lady speaks 9 languages. Of course she does. Why didn't I think of that? Should I ask the janitor if he has an MBA too?" Maybe the security guard downstairs is secretly a brain surgeon. Leonard touched Tyler's arm. Tyler, calm down. Calm down. This is the funniest thing that's happened all weekend. Tyler wiped his eyes. Tears were actually running down his face. Thank you. I needed that laugh. Really. But I have actual problems to solve, so if you don't mind. Tasha spoke. In Mandarin. The words were fast, flawless, perfectly toned. Tyler didn't speak Mandarin, but he'd heard enough in negotiations to recognize fluency. She addressed Leonard directly, her pronunciation crisp and natural. Tyler's laughter died in his throat. Leonard's eyes went wide. What did you just say? Tasha switched to English. I said, your boss is about to lose $6 billion because he's too blind to see the solution standing in front of him. The hallway tilted. Tyler grabbed the wall for balance. His laughter had evaporated completely. Left behind was something cold and sharp in his chest. Say something else, Leonard whispered. Tasha looked at Tyler. Spoke in Japanese. Her voice changed slightly, adapted to the different phonetic structure. She spoke for 10 seconds. Stopped. French, Leonard said. Tasha switched. Perfect Parisian French flowed out smooth and confident. German. She switched again. Then Arabic. Then Russian. Each language distinct, each transition seamless. Her voice carried authority, precision. This wasn't conversational language. This was professional-level fluency. Tyler couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. His entire body had locked up. How? The word scraped out of his throat. How is this possible? May we speak in private? Tasha's voice was quiet but firm. Your investors are waiting. You have 8 minutes before your meeting starts. I can help you, but I need you to listen. Really listen. For the first time in 3 years. Tyler looked at Leonard. Leonard looked back, his face pale behind his wire-rimmed glasses. Your office, Tyler said. Now. Tyler closed the door behind the three of them. Tasha set her cleaning caddy down by the entrance. Stood straight. Looked less like a housekeeper and more like something else entirely. Tyler moved behind his desk. Needed the barrier. Needed something solid between him and this moment that was rewriting everything he thought he knew. Talk, he said. Fast. Tasha nodded. My name is Tasha Louise Wilson. 7 years ago, I was a PhD candidate at Boston University. Linguistics. My specialization was simultaneous interpretation and cognitive language processing. I was fluent in 8 languages then. I added Italian during my research. Leonard pulled out his phone. Started typing. What was your advisor's name? Dr. Martin Castellano, head of the linguistics department. More typing. Leonard's eyes scanned his screen. There's a Tasha Wilson listed on the BU Linguistics faculty page from 2016 to 2018. Graduate Research Assistant. Tyler sat down heavily. Why didn't you finish? Tasha's face flickered. Something painful crossed it. My parents died. Car accident. January 2018. I was 1 semester away from defending my dissertation. They left medical bills. My grandmother Rose had her first stroke 3 months later. Someone needed to take care of her. Pay the bills. I left school. Got 2 jobs. One at Boston Medical Center cleaning rooms. One with Supreme Cleaning Services. Your advisor didn't try to help you stay? Leonard asked. He called 4 times. Offered scholarships, grant money, flexible scheduling. I said no. Tasha's voice was steady, but Tyler heard the grief underneath. I was drowning. I couldn't see past survival. By the time I came up for air, 2 years had passed. Going back felt impossible. Tyler's mind raced. You've been cleaning my office for 3 years. Yes. You heard me Friday. Saturday. You knew I was desperate. You said nothing. Yes. Why? The question came out harsh. If you could help, why did you stay silent? Tasha met his eyes. Because you've never seen me, Mr. Ashford. For 3 years I've cleaned your office twice a week. You don't know my name. Don't know my face. You yelled at me about your vase. Told me not to touch your desk. Treated me like furniture. Like I was invisible. The words hit like punches. Tyler opened his mouth. Closed it. Nothing he could say would make that untrue. So I stayed silent, Tasha continued. Because I thought if I told you, you'd laugh in my face. Which you did. Or you wouldn't believe me. Which you didn't. Or you'd believe me and still treat me the same way tomorrow. Like I'm nothing. That's not fair, Tyler said. But his voice had no conviction. Isn't it? Tasha stepped closer to his desk. You don't see people, Mr. Ashford. You see functions. Your assistant is a function. Your cleaning woman is a function. We exist to serve you. That's all. She paused. So I decided not to help. I decided to let you fail. Because maybe then you'd understand what it feels like to be invisible. The office was silent except for the heating system's hum. Tyler felt something crack open in his chest. Something he'd kept locked for years. You're right, he said quietly. About all of it. Leonard looked shocked. Tasha's eyes widened slightly. Tyler continued. I don't see people. My ex-fiancée told me that when she left. My sister told me that before she stopped talking to me. My father raised me to see the world as assets and obstacles. Nothing in between. He looked at Tasha. I treated you terribly. I treated everyone terribly. And you had every right to stay silent and watch me fail. But I didn't, Tasha said. I'm here now. Why? Why change your mind? Tasha was quiet for a long moment. Because my grandmother asked me a question. She asked if staying silent was protecting me or imprisoning me. And I realized it was both. I've been making myself invisible for 7 years. Hiding my gifts because I was scared. Scared of rejection. Scared of being seen and still dismissed. She looked directly at Tyler. You were blind. But I was hiding. We both need to change. Tyler felt the crack in his chest widen. Something hot pressed behind his eyes. He hadn't cried in 3 years. Not since his father's funeral. But right now, in his office with his assistant and a woman whose name he'd learned on Saturday, he felt dangerously close. I don't deserve your help, he said. No, Tasha agreed. You don't. But I'm not offering it for you. I'm offering it for me. Because I need to stop hiding. I need to use my gifts whether you appreciate them or not. Leonard stepped forward. Can you really do this? Interpret a complex merger negotiation in 9 languages. Yes. How do we know you're qualified? Test me. Tasha pulled out her phone. Call one of your investors. Any of them. Let them speak to me in their native language. See if I can handle technical business terminology. Leonard looked at Tyler. Tyler nodded. Leonard dialed. Put his phone on speaker. Mr. Tanaka? This is Leonard Freeman. I'm here with Tyler and a potential translator. Would you be willing to speak with her briefly in Japanese to assess her fluency? At this point, I'll try anything. Hiroshi's voice came through tired and skeptical. Leonard handed his phone to Tasha. She took it. Spoke in Japanese. Her voice was confident, professional. She used formal business register. Discussed contract terminology, equity structures, board representation. Technical concepts that Tyler barely understood in English, flowing out in perfect Japanese. Hiroshi responded. His tone changed. Became engaged, almost surprised. They spoke for 2 minutes. Technical back and forth. Questions and answers. Finally Hiroshi said in English, Where did you find her? Tasha answered in Japanese. Leonard typed something on his phone, pulled up a translation app to follow along. Tyler watched the conversation unfold, still trying to process everything that was happening. She's acceptable, Hiroshi said finally. More than acceptable. If she can do this in all 9 languages, proceed with the meeting. Leonard ended the call. Looked at Tasha with something close to awe. Do Philippe now. French. I need to see your merger documents first, Tasha said. 10 minutes to review the technical terminology. Then I'll be ready. Tyler stood, walked around his desk, stopped 3 feet from Tasha. Up close he could see her eyes were red-rimmed. She was scared. Doing this anyway. I'm sorry, he said. For everything. For not seeing you. For treating you like you didn't matter. For laughing at you. You were offering me a gift and I threw it back in your face. Tasha held his gaze. Apologies are words. Show me you mean it. How? Introduce me to your investors as Tasha Wilson, professional interpreter. Not as your cleaning lady who happens to speak languages. Not as a convenient accident. As someone qualified and valued. Tyler nodded. Done. And after this meeting, Tasha continued, her voice stronger now, if your merger succeeds, I want you to write me a recommendation letter for the BU Linguistics program. I'm going back to finish my PhD. Yes, absolutely. And pay me consultant rates for today. Not cleaning service rates. Consultant rates for a professional interpreter handling a $6 billion negotiation. Leonard pulled out his phone. Market rate is $400 per hour for high-stakes multilingual interpretation. This meeting could run 6 hours. That's $2,400. Done, Tyler said immediately. Whatever you need. Tasha's shoulders relaxed slightly. Then let's save your merger, Mr. Ashford. Tyler gestured to his laptop. The documents are here. All 847 pages. How much time do you need? Give me 8 minutes. Tasha moved to his desk. Sat in his chair, pulled the laptop close, started scrolling through pages at incredible speed. Her eyes moved fast, absorbing information. Every few pages she'd pause, mouth some words silently, then continue. Tyler watched her work. This woman he dismissed for 3 years. Who'd been invisible in his office. Who'd carried grief and brilliance and hidden herself to survive. Leonard moved close to Tyler. Whispered, You were laughing at her 4 minutes ago. I know. You treated her like garbage. I know. If she pulls this off, if she actually saves this merger, you owe her more than money and a recommendation letter. I know that too. Tasha looked up. I'm ready. Tyler checked his watch. 9:03 a.m. The meeting was supposed to start in 7 minutes. We need to tell the investors there's a new plan, Leonard said. Tyler straightened his tie, ran his hand through his hair, tried to look like a man in control instead of a man whose entire worldview had shattered in the last 9 minutes. Let's go, he said. The 3 of them walked toward the conference room. Tyler in front, Leonard beside him, Tasha behind carrying nothing but her phone and her courage. At the conference room door, Tyler stopped, turned to Tasha. Thank you, he said, for speaking up. For giving me a chance I don't deserve. Tasha looked at him. Something in her eyes had shifted. She was standing taller, taking up space. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when your $6 billion merger is signed and sealed. And when you've proven you actually learned something today. Tyler nodded, opened the conference room door. 16 investors sat around the table. Conversations in multiple languages stopped when Tyler entered. All eyes turned to him. Skeptical. Suspicious. Ready to walk away. Tyler took a breath. Good morning. Thank you for your patience. I apologize for the confusion this morning. Our original translator had an emergency. However, I'd like to introduce you to Tasha Wilson, professional interpreter, fluent in all 9 languages we need today. She'll be facilitating our meeting. Tasha stepped forward, stood straight, met the eyes of every person in that room. Then she spoke, in Mandarin to the Chinese investors, in Japanese to Hiroshi and Dr. Nakamura, in French to Philippe, in German, Arabic, Russian, Portuguese, Italian, Spanish to each delegation. She introduced herself, explained her qualifications, spoke with confidence and authority. One by one, the suspicious faces softened, nodded, sat back in their chairs. Philippe raised his hand, spoke in French. How do we know she's truly fluent and not just memorizing phrases? Tasha responded in French. Ask me anything. Technical questions about the merger. Personal questions about my background. I'll answer in any of the 9 languages. Test me however you wish. For the next 5 minutes, investors threw questions at her. Complex technical terminology. Obscure grammatical constructions. Regional dialects. She handled everything flawlessly. Finally, Hiroshi spoke. I believe we can proceed with the meeting. Murmurs of agreement around the table. Tyler felt his knees go weak with relief. He looked at Tasha. She met his eyes, gave him the smallest nod. The merger was back on, and Tyler Ashford's education in seeing people had just begun. The merger meeting had been running for an hour and 14 minutes. Tasha stood at the head of the table, positioned between Tyler and the 16 investors. Her powder blue cleaning uniform felt wrong now, out of place. But she stood in it anyway, translating millions of dollars with every sentence. Hiroshi spoke in Japanese. Tasha listened, her face calm and focused. Then she turned to the French delegation and delivered his words in perfect French. Philippe responded. Tasha switched to Japanese, relaying his answer to Hiroshi. Back and forth. Mandarin to German. Russian to Portuguese. Arabic to Italian. Spanish to English. Her brain moved between languages like most people moved between rooms. Natural. Effortless. Tyler watched from his seat, barely breathing. His entire empire balanced on this woman's ability to interpret not just words but intention, nuance, cultural context. One mistranslation could kill the deal. One misunderstood clause could cost millions. She hadn't made a single mistake. Dr. Yuki Nakamura raised a question in Japanese about equity distribution. Technical language. Legal terminology. Tasha absorbed it, processed it, delivered it to the German investors in flawless German. They responded. She translated back. The conversation flowed. Leonard sat beside Tyler taking notes, his eyes wide with something between shock and admiration. He leaned close, whispered, "She's better than any translator we've ever used." "How is that possible?" Tyler shook his head. He had no answer. 3 years this woman cleaned his office in silence. 3 years he'd walked past brilliance and seen nothing. Philippe stood, walked to the presentation screen, pulled up a chart, spoke in rapid French about projected growth in European markets. Tasha translated simultaneously into Japanese for Hiroshi's team, then Mandarin for the Chinese investors, then English for Tyler and the Americans. Her voice never wavered, never hesitated. She was a conduit for communication, making the impossible look simple. The Arabic delegation raised concerns about timeline. Tasha handled it. The Portuguese team questioned manufacturing logistics. Tasha switched languages, clarified, smoothed tensions. 2 hours into the meeting, they broke for lunch. Tyler closed his office door behind him and Tasha. Leonard had taken the investors to the executive dining room. Tyler had 15 minutes before they reconvened. Tasha stood by his window, looking down at the city. She'd been translating non-stop for over 2 hours. Her voice must be tired, but she showed no signs of it. "You're incredible," Tyler said. The words felt inadequate. "I've never seen anything like what you just did in there." Tasha turned from the window. "It's what I was trained to do. What I should have been doing all along. Why didn't you go back to school after things stabilized with your grandmother?" She was quiet for a moment. "Fear. Shame. I dropped out. Failed. Going back meant admitting I'd given up. Easier to stay invisible. Stay safe. Clean offices and tell myself it was temporary. 7 years is a long time to call something temporary." "I know." Tasha moved to his bookshelf, ran her fingers along the spines. "You have first editions here worth thousands. You know that." My father collected them. Did he read them? Tyler paused. I don't think so. He collected things. Objects. Proof of success. That's sad. Yes, Tyler agreed. It is. Tasha pulled out a volume. French poetry. Baudelaire. This one's worth about $8,000. It's a 1857 first edition of Les Fleurs du Mal. She opened it carefully. Your father had good taste, even if he didn't read what he bought. You can read that? Of course. French was my second language after English. My mother was from Montreal. She raised me bilingual. Tasha smiled slightly. I used to read Baudelaire to her when I was in high school. She loved the way the words sounded. Tyler moved closer. Tell me about her. Your mother. Tasha's smile faded. Why? Because I want to know. Really know. Not as your employer. As someone who realizes he's been blind for 3 years and wants to see clearly now. Tasha studied his face, looking for something. Finally she spoke. Her name was Claire. She taught French at a high school in Roxbury. Met my father there. He taught history. They were those teachers everyone loved. The ones who made students actually care about learning. Tasha's voice softened. They died on a Tuesday, January 16th, 2018. Black ice on Route 2. The police said it was instant. They didn't suffer. But you did. Yes. Tasha put the book back. I was at BU preparing to defend my dissertation. Got the call at 11 p.m. Drove to the hospital. They were already gone. 3 days later we buried them. 2 weeks later the medical bills started arriving. Ambulance. Emergency room. Even though they died, the hospital still charged for trying to save them. $47,000. Tyler felt his chest tighten. Insurance didn't cover it? They had insurance. Covered most of it. But not all. And then there were funeral costs. My parents didn't have much savings. They spent everything on making sure I could go to school without debt. Tasha's voice cracked slightly. So I paid for their funerals with my student loans. Then Grandma Rose had her stroke. Someone had to be there. Someone had to pay rent. Buy groceries. Make sure she took her medications. Your advisor offered help. He did. But I couldn't see it then. Couldn't see past survival. I dropped out. Got a job at the hospital. Cleaning felt appropriate somehow. My life was a mess. I cleaned other people's messes. Made sense. Tyler sat in his desk chair. When did Supreme Cleaning hire you? 2 years later. 2020. I needed more money. Grandma's medications kept getting more expensive. The hospital job paid minimum wage. Supreme Cleaning paid better for private clients like you. Tasha looked at him. You were my Friday afternoon. Monday mornings and Friday afternoons. 6 hours a week in your office. Learning everything about you while you learned nothing about me. What did you learn? Tasha moved to his desk. Sat on the edge. The gesture was casual. Familiar. Like they were equals for the first time. I learned you drink your coffee black but always leave 1 sip at the bottom. I learned you work until 2 or 3 a.m. most nights. The coffee cups pile up. I learned you never eat lunch at your desk, only breakfast. Always the same thing. Yogurt and granola. The containers go in your trash every morning. She paused. I learned you keep a photo of a woman in your desk drawer. Auburn hair. Pretty smile. You look at it sometimes when you think no one's watching. Tyler's throat tightened. Anna. My ex-fiancée. Why did she leave? Because I'm broken. That's what she said. She said I don't see people. Don't connect. Just move through life accumulating things and calling it success. He looked up at Tasha. She was right. My father raised me to see the world in transactions. Assets and liabilities. People were one or the other. Never just people. Is that why you laughed when I told you I spoke 9 languages? Because in your world, Cleaning ladies can't be assets. The question landed like a punch. Tyler flinched. Yes. I'm not proud of it. But yes. I looked at your uniform and decided you couldn't possibly be what you claimed. My prejudice was instant and complete. At least you're honest now. Honesty feels like the least I can offer after everything. Tyler stood, moved to the window beside her. My sister Caroline hasn't spoken to me in 2 years. She struggled with addiction. Asked me for help multiple times. I said no. Told her she needed to help herself. She went to rehab on her own. Got clean. Cut me out of her life completely. Do you miss her? Every day. Have you told her that? No. Why not? Tyler was quiet. Because I don't know how to be vulnerable. My father taught me that vulnerability is weakness. Weakness is death. Better to be alone than weak. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard, Tasha said softly. They stood together at the window. The city spread below them. Lunchtime crowds filled the streets. People living their lives. Connected. Messy. Real. Can I tell you something? Tasha's voice was quiet. This morning, standing outside your office, I almost didn't knock. I almost let you fail. Part of me wanted you to fail. Wanted you to feel what it's like to be invisible and helpless. I wouldn't have blamed you, but that's not who I want to be. Someone who watches people drown out of spite. She turned to face him. My mother used to say that carrying anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. I've been poisoning myself for 7 years. Hiding. Staying small. Telling myself it was protection when really it was punishment. Tyler met her eyes. We're both good at punishing ourselves. Yes. Tasha smiled slightly. Maybe that's why this is working. 2 broken people helping each other see clearly for the first time. Tyler's phone buzzed. Text from Leonard. Investors are ready. 5 minutes. We should go, Tyler said. But neither of them moved. After this meeting, Tasha said, after your merger is signed and sealed, what happens? What do you mean? I mean with us. With this. Do I go back to cleaning your office on Tuesday? Do we pretend this never happened? Do you go back to not seeing me? The question hung between them. Tyler felt something shift in his chest. Something that had been locked opening wider. No, he said. Everything changes. Starting with me writing that recommendation letter for BU. And helping you get back into your PhD program. And paying you consultant rates not just for today but for any future work. And actually learning your name. Learning who you are. Seeing you. That's a lot of promises. I know. I've broken a lot of promises in my life. To Anna. To Caroline. To myself. But this one I'll keep. I swear it. Tasha studied his face. Why should I believe you? Because for the first time in years, I actually want to change. Not because someone's forcing me. Not because I'm trying to prove something to my dead father. But because you showed me what I've been missing. Connection. Real human connection. And I don't want to lose that. Tasha was quiet for a long moment. Then she reached out. Touched his hand. Just briefly. Just enough to ground the moment in something real. Okay, she said. Let's finish saving your company. Then we'll figure out the rest. In the conference room, the afternoon session moved faster. The investors had relaxed during lunch. Conversations flowed more naturally. Tasha translated effortlessly, occasionally adding cultural context that smoothed rough edges in the negotiation. When the German delegation expressed concern about American business practices, Tasha softened the translation while keeping the meaning intact. When Philippe made a joke in French that wouldn't land in other languages, Tasha adapted it. Made it work. She wasn't just translating words. She was building bridges. Tyler watched her work and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Gratitude. Real, deep gratitude for another human being. At 3:15 p.m., they reached the signature page. All parties had agreed to terms. The contracts were ready. Hiroshi stood. Spoke in Japanese. Tasha translated. This has been one of the most professionally conducted negotiations I've experienced. The quality of interpretation made complex discussions feel simple. Ms. Wilson is exceptional. Murmurs of agreement around the table. Philippe nodded. The Arabic delegation smiled. One by one, the investors signed. Tyler's hand shook slightly when he added his signature to the final document. $6 billion. His father's legacy expanded. His own future secured. But more than that. Something deeper. Something real. He looked at Tasha. She met his eyes. Smiled. The merger was complete. The investors had left. Leonard was coordinating follow-up calls and logistics. Tyler and Tasha stood alone in his office as evening settled over Boston. You did it, Tyler said. You saved everything. We did it, Tasha corrected. You had to let me. That took courage too. Tyler pulled out his checkbook. Wrote carefully. Tore off the check. Handed it to Tasha. She looked at it. Her eyes went wide. $5,000? You said $2,400. You worked 7 hours. That's $2,800 at consultant rates. The extra is a bonus. For putting up with my blindness. My cruelty. My laughter. He paused. It's not enough. It could never be enough. But it's a start. Tasha folded the check carefully. Put it in her pocket. Thank you. No. Thank you. For speaking up. For giving me a chance I didn't deserve. For showing me what I've been missing. They stood in the growing darkness. The office lights hadn't come on yet. Just the glow from the city below. I should go, Tasha said. Grandma Rose is expecting me home. She'll want to hear everything. Tell her she raised an extraordinary woman. I will. Tasha walked to the door. Stopped. Turned back. Tyler. That's your name, right? Tyler Ashford. He smiled. Yes. Tyler. Tomorrow morning. When I come to clean your office. Will you actually look at me this time? Will you say good morning? Will you remember my name? Yes. I promise. All of it. Good. Tasha opened the door. Because I'm not invisible anymore. And neither are you. She left. Tyler stood alone in his office. The merger documents sat on his desk. $6 billion in signed contracts. His father's empire expanded beyond Howard's wildest dreams. But all Tyler could think about was the woman in the powder blue uniform who'd taught him how to see. Tyler stood at his window watching the sunrise paint Boston Harbor in shades of orange and pink. He'd been at his office since 6 a.m. Showered. Shaved. Wore his best navy suit with a silver tie. He'd even bought fresh flowers for his desk. White lilies. The merger documents sat in neat stacks. Signed. Sealed. Complete. His phone had been ringing since 7 a.m. Board members congratulating him. Business reporters requesting interviews. His company's stock had jumped 14% at opening bell. But none of that mattered as much as what happened at 8 a.m. Tasha's regular Monday and Friday cleaning schedule had been in place for 3 years. But Tyler had called Supreme Cleaning Services yesterday afternoon and requested she come Tuesday as well. Paid triple rate. He wanted to see her. Needed to see her. To prove yesterday wasn't just crisis-driven gratitude that would evaporate with success. His office door was open. Waiting. He'd practiced what to say. Rehearsed it a dozen times. Good morning, Tasha. Thank you again for yesterday. I meant everything I said about changing. Simple. Direct. Honest. Footsteps in the hallway. Tyler turned from the window. Tasha appeared in the doorway. Same powder blue uniform. Same cleaning caddy. But everything about her was different. She stood taller. Took up more space. Her dark brown eyes met his directly. Good morning, Mr. Ashford, she said. Tyler, he corrected quickly. Please. Call me Tyler. Tyler. She tested the name. Stepped inside. You asked for me specifically this morning. The service was confused. This isn't my usual day. I know. I wanted to see you, to thank you again properly, and to talk about the recommendation letter. I started writing it last night. He gestured to his laptop. I want you to review it. Make sure I'm highlighting the right things. Your fluency, your professionalism, your ability to... Mr. Ashford. Tasha's voice cut through his enthusiasm. Back to Mr. Ashford. Not Tyler. I need to clean your office. That's what Supreme Cleaning is paying me to do. Tyler blinked. Right. Of course. But after, maybe we could. After, I have 3 more clients. Then my shift at the hospital starts at 4 p.m. She set down her caddy, pulled out her supplies, started on the bookshelf like always. Tyler watched her work. Something felt wrong. The easy connection from yesterday was gone, replaced by professional distance. She was back to being the cleaning woman, back to being invisible by choice. Tasha, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I'm working. Yesterday we talked. Really talked. You told me about your mother. I told you about my sister. We connected. And now you're back to cleaning my bookshelves like nothing happened. Tasha stopped, turned to face him. What did you expect, Mr. Ashford? That one good day would erase 3 years? That I'd suddenly be your friend because I saved your company? No, I just thought. You thought wrong. Her voice was sharp now. Yesterday was business. You needed help. I provided it. You paid me. That's where it ends. Tyler felt something cold settle in his stomach. You don't mean that. Don't I? Tasha returned to the bookshelf. You wrote me a check. You promised a recommendation letter. That's what we agreed to. Anything beyond that is complicated. Messy. I don't do messy anymore. Why are you doing this? Tyler moved closer. Why are you pushing me away? I'm not pushing you away. I'm maintaining appropriate boundaries between employer and employee. That's garbage and you know it. Yesterday you touched my hand. You told me we were both learning to see clearly. What changed? Tasha's hands stopped moving. She set down her cloth, turned to face him fully. Her eyes were harder now, guarded. What changed is I went home last night and realized something. You only saw me when you needed me, when I was useful, when I could save your $6 billion deal. But what happens when you don't need me anymore? What happens when I'm just the woman who cleans your office again? That won't happen. I promised. You promised a lot of things. So did my PhD advisor. So did the hospital that said my parents' medical bills would be manageable. So did my aunt who said she'd help with Grandma Rose then disappeared. Tasha's voice cracked slightly. Promises are easy when you're grateful. Keeping them when gratitude fades is harder. I'm not going to fade. I'm not going to forget. Aren't you? Tasha picked up her supplies. Started cleaning again. Your merger is complete. Your investors are happy. Your company's stock is up. You don't need me anymore. So why wouldn't you go back to the way things were? Tyler felt frustration rising. Because I'm not that person anymore. You changed me. People don't change that fast. One day doesn't erase 41 years of learned behavior. She moved to his desk. Started organizing papers. My grandmother asked me something last night. She asked if I really believed you could see me as an equal, as someone with value beyond what I provide. And I realized I don't know. I want to believe it. But I don't know. So you're testing me. No. I'm protecting myself. The office door opened. Leonard walked in carrying a tablet. Stopped when he saw them. Sorry. Didn't realize you were meeting. We're not meeting, Tasha said. I'm cleaning. Mr. Ashford was just leaving. Leonard looked between them. Confused. Tyler. The board wants to do a press conference at 10 a.m. About the merger. They want you to. Fine. Whatever they want. Tyler didn't take his eyes off Tasha. Leonard, give us a minute. Actually, I'm done here. Tasha gathered her caddy. I have other clients waiting. Tasha, please. Don't do this. She stopped at the door. Do what? My job. That's all this ever was, Mr. Ashford. You needed a translator. I happened to be available. Now we go back to normal. You run your company. I clean your office. Clean boundaries. No complications. That's not what you said yesterday. Yesterday I was naive. Today I'm realistic. She looked at Leonard. Congratulations on your merger, Mr. Freeman. Tell Mr. Ashford I'll be back Friday for regular cleaning. She left. Leonard stared at the empty doorway. What just happened? Tyler sank into his desk chair. I have no idea. The press conference was ending. Tyler had smiled for cameras, answered questions about the merger, praised his team, spoke about vision and growth and all the corporate language that meant nothing. Reporters packed up equipment. Board members congratulated each other. Leonard coordinated follow-up interviews. Tyler stood at the window watching the city below. His phone buzzed. Text from his cousin Rebecca. Saw the news. Congrats on the merger. Still hoping you'll come to Thanksgiving tomorrow. Please. Thanksgiving. Tyler had forgotten. Tomorrow. His family gathering at Aunt Patricia's house. Caroline would be there. Rebecca. People who wanted to see him. People he'd been avoiding. Another text. Unknown number. He opened it. Mr. Ashford, this is Dr. Martin Castellano from BU Linguistics. Leonard Freeman contacted me yesterday about Tasha Wilson. I'd like to discuss her potential return to our program. Can you call me? Tyler stared at the message. This was good news. This was what Tasha wanted. But something about it felt hollow. He dialed the number. Dr. Castellano answered on the second ring. Mr. Ashford. Thank you for calling so quickly. Of course. You want to discuss Tasha's return to BU? Yes. Your assistant spoke very highly of her work yesterday. Frankly, I've been trying to get Tasha back for years. She was my best student. Brilliant researcher. Her dissertation on cognitive load in simultaneous interpretation was groundbreaking. Can you get her back into the program? Absolutely. I can reinstate her PhD candidacy immediately. Full scholarship. Stipend for living expenses. She'd just need to defend her dissertation. 1 semester and she'd have her doctorate. Tyler felt relief wash over him. That's wonderful. When can she start? Spring semester. January 20th. Dr. Castellano paused. But Mr. Ashford, I need to be honest. I've offered this before. Multiple times. Tasha always says no. She says she can't afford to quit her jobs. Can't risk the financial instability. She's been paralyzed by fear for 7 years. What if I guaranteed her financial security? Covered her expenses while she finished? Silence on the other end. Then, that would be incredibly generous. But it might also be problematic. Why? Because Tasha needs to make this choice for herself. Not because someone's rescuing her. She needs to rescue herself. Otherwise she'll never believe she deserves it. The words hit Tyler hard. I'm trying to help. I know. But sometimes helping means stepping back. Letting people find their own strength. Dr. Castellano's voice was gentle but firm. Tasha is brilliant but wounded. She doesn't trust easily. If you push too hard, you'll drive her away. Tyler ended the call. Stood at the window feeling something crack open in his chest again. Wider this time. Painful. He'd thought saving Tasha meant giving her money. Writing letters. Opening doors. But maybe saving her meant something harder. Letting her walk through doors herself. Being there when she stumbled but not carrying her. His phone rang. Leonard. Tyler, there's something you need to see. Turn on Channel 5. Tyler pulled out his phone. Opened the news app. The headline made his blood freeze. Billionaire CEO's secret. Cleaning lady saves $6 billion merger. The article had a photo. Tyler standing with Tasha in the conference room yesterday. Her in her powder blue uniform. Him in his expensive suit. The image reeked of inequality. Master and servant. Rich and poor. Tyler read fast. Some board member had leaked the story. Framed it as a feel-good tale. Poor black maid with secret skills saves wealthy white CEO. The article praised Tyler for recognizing talent in unlikely places, and Tasha for overcoming obstacles. It made him look like a benevolent savior. Made Tasha look like charity. Tyler felt sick. His phone exploded with notifications. News sites picking up the story. Social media amplifying it. Photos of Tasha circulating. Her privacy destroyed. Her dignity stripped. Another call. This time from a number he didn't recognize. He answered. Mr. Ashford? A woman's voice. Sharp. Angry. This is Rose Wilson. Tasha's grandmother. Tyler's stomach dropped. Mrs. Wilson. I'm so sorry. I didn't. My granddaughter is locked in her bathroom crying. She won't come out. Won't talk to me. Just keep saying she's humiliated. That the whole world sees her as the poor cleaning lady who got lucky. Rose's voice cracked. What did you do to her? I didn't leak the story. I would never. But you let it happen. You took a private moment of her courage and let someone turn it into a spectacle. Into inspiration poverty tourism for rich people to feel good about. Mrs. Wilson, please. Let me talk to her. Let me explain. No. You've done enough. Tasha was right this morning. She said you only saw her when you needed her. Said once the crisis passed, you'd go back to being the man who yelled at her about vases and treated her like furniture. Rose's voice went cold. She was trying to protect herself from exactly this. From being used. From being humiliated. And you let it happen anyway. That's not fair. I'm trying to help her. Are you? Or are you trying to help yourself feel better about how you treated her for 3 years? Rose didn't wait for an answer. Stay away from my granddaughter, Mr. Ashford. She doesn't need your guilt or your charity. She needs her dignity back. And you can't give her that. The line went dead. Tyler stood in the empty conference room. His merger was complete. His company was thriving. His success was guaranteed. And he'd just destroyed the one real connection he'd made in years. His phone buzzed again. Text from Tasha. Finally. He opened it fast. Don't contact me again. Don't call Supreme Cleaning. Don't write recommendation letters. I'll finish my PhD on my own. Without your help. Without your guilt. Just leave me alone. Tyler read the message 3 times. Each time it hurt more. He'd laughed at her. Dismissed her. Then used her to save his company. And now the whole world was laughing at her. Turning her courage into a punchline. Her survival into inspiration for people who'd never struggle the way she had. He'd promised to see her. To value her. To change. Instead, he'd broken her all over again. Tyler sat down in one of the conference room chairs. Put his head in his hands. The merger documents were signed. The deal was done. He'd won everything he wanted. And lost everything that mattered. Tasha sat on her bathroom floor with her back against the tub. Her phone was off. She'd turned it off after the 50th notification. After the news story spread. After people she hadn't talked to in years started calling to congratulate her or mock her or demand her story. Rose knocked on the door. Baby, you need to eat something. I'm not hungry. You've been in there for 6 hours. I know. Silence. Then Rose's voice softer. This isn't your fault. Isn't it? Tasha's voice came out raw. I should have stayed quiet. Should have let him fail. Should have protected myself like I always do. You were brave. You spoke up. You used your gifts. That's not something to regret. The whole world is laughing at me, Grandma. Poor cleaning lady saves rich man. It's a joke. I'm a joke. You're not a joke. You're a survivor who got caught in someone else's carelessness. Tasha pressed her forehead to her knees. He promised he'd changed. Promised he saw me. But he didn't. He saw what I could do for him. That's all I ever was. A solution to his problem. Do you really believe that? Tasha thought about yesterday. About Tyler's face when she'd translated. About his apology. About the way he'd listened when she talked about her mother. About the flowers she'd seen on his desk this morning before she'd pushed him away. I don't know what I believe anymore. Then don't decide today. Today just survive. Tomorrow you can figure out what's true and what's fear talking. Tasha opened the bathroom door. Rose stood there with a plate of food. Cornbread and greens. Comfort food. The kind that couldn't fix anything but helped anyway. They ate together on the couch in silence. Outside, Dorchester moved through its Tuesday evening. Cars passed. People lived their lives. The world kept turning even when yours fell apart. Tasha's phone was still off. She didn't want to see the messages. The news stories. The photos of her looking small and helpless next to Tyler's wealth and power. She'd spent 7 years making herself invisible. One day of being seen had destroyed her all over again. Maybe invisibility was safer after all. Tyler sat on his couch staring at his laptop screen. The news story had spread everywhere. 23 different outlets. Hundreds of social media posts. Most praised him for recognizing Tasha's talent. Called him progressive. Open-minded. A CEO who saw potential in unexpected places. Every word made him sick. He'd spent the night searching for the leak source. Found it at 3 a.m. Gerald Hutchins. Board member. Sent the story to his journalist friend thinking it would make Ashford International look good. Make Tyler look good. Tyler had fired him at 3:17 a.m. via email. Effective immediately. No severance beyond contractual minimums. It didn't help. The damage was done. His phone sat on the coffee table. Silent. He tried calling Tasha 4 times yesterday. All went straight to voicemail. Tried texting. No response. Supreme Cleaning Services told him Tasha had taken personal leave. Wouldn't say when she'd return. The apartment was too quiet. Too empty. Like him. His laptop showed an open document. The recommendation letter he'd started writing for Tasha. 3 pages of praise for her intelligence, her professionalism, her extraordinary linguistic abilities. All true. All useless now. She didn't want his help. She'd made that clear. Tyler closed the laptop. Stood. Paced to his window. Wednesday morning. The day before Thanksgiving. Boston looked festive. Decorations in windows. People preparing for family gatherings. Normal lives being lived by normal people. He pulled out his phone. Scrolled to Rebecca's text from yesterday. Still hoping you'll come to Thanksgiving tomorrow. Tyler typed back. I'll be there. What time? The response came within seconds. Really? 2 p.m. Aunt Patricia's house. Tyler, Caroline will be there. Are you sure you're ready? Was he ready? To face his sister who hated him? To admit he'd been wrong about everything? To stop hiding behind work and money and his father's ghost? I'm sure. See you tomorrow. He put the phone down. Looked at his reflection in the window. Steel gray eyes. Sharp jaw. Expensive clothes. Empty. Dr. Castellano's words echoed in his head. Sometimes helping means stepping back. Letting people find their own strength. Maybe that's what Tyler needed too. To step back from trying to fix everything. To find his own strength instead of hiding behind his father's empire. His phone rang. Leonard. Tyler, the board wants to schedule a meeting. They're concerned about the publicity. Some members think we should issue a statement clarifying. No statement. The story's out. Making it bigger won't help. But Tyler, people are asking questions. About why Tasha was working as a cleaner. About whether we exploited her. About. Let them ask. We're not responding. Tyler's voice was firm. Tasha deserves privacy, not a corporate PR campaign that makes this worse. Silence. Then Leonard said quietly, "She hasn't returned my calls either." "I know. I feel terrible. I was there. I saw what she did. I should have protected her privacy better. We all should have." Tyler moved away from the window. "Leonard, take the rest of the week off. Spend Thanksgiving with your family. Everything else can wait. Are you okay?" Tyler laughed. "No humor. No. But I'm working on it." After hanging up, Tyler sat back on his couch, picked up the photo he kept hidden. Anna. Her smile. Her auburn hair. The life they might have had if he'd been different. He pulled out his phone. Found her number. He hadn't called in 3 years. Wasn't even sure it still worked. It rang 4 times. Then her voice. "Tyler." "Anna. Hi. I know I shouldn't call. I just needed to tell you something." "Okay." Cautious. Careful. "You were right. About everything. I didn't see people. I treated relationships like transactions. I was broken and didn't know how to fix it." Tyler's throat tightened. "I'm sorry. For how I treated you. For not being the man you deserved. For being too much like my father to realize what I was losing." Silence. Long enough Tyler thought she'd hung up. "Thank you," Anna said finally. "That means more than you know. I met someone. Well, not met. I've known her for 3 years, but I just started seeing her. Really seeing her." Tyler's voice cracked. "And I think I ruined it. I think I hurt her the same way I hurt you. By being blind. By taking without giving. By treating her like she only mattered when she was useful." "Did you apologize?" "Yes. But she doesn't believe me. She thinks I'll go back to being the old Tyler once the crisis passes." "Will you?" "No. I swear I won't." Anna was quiet again. "Tyler, apologies are easy. Change is hard. If you really want to be different, you have to do the work. Not just say the words. Do the actual hard work of becoming someone who sees people. Who connects. Who's vulnerable. How? Therapy. Honest conversations with your family. Facing the parts of yourself you've been hiding from for 41 years. She paused. And giving her space. If she needs distance, respect that. Don't chase her because you need forgiveness. Let her choose whether to come back. What if she doesn't? Then you live with that. And you become better anyway. Not for her. For yourself. They talked for 20 more minutes. About her life now. Her new job. Her engagement to someone who saw her. Who valued her. Who was present. When they hung up, Tyler felt something shift. Not fixed. Not healed. But less broken than before. He opened his laptop. Deleted the recommendation letter. Opened a new document. Started writing something else. Tasha sat in the empty church. Wednesday afternoon. No service. No people. Just her and the stained glass Jesus and the silence. She'd come here after leaving her apartment for the first time in 2 days. Needed somewhere quiet. Somewhere safe. Somewhere that knew her before the news story turned her into a spectacle. Pastor Williams found her in the 3rd pew. Sat down beside her without asking permission. "Rough couple days," he said. "That's an understatement. Want to talk about it?" Tasha stared at the stained glass. Blue and red and gold light streaming through. "I thought I was being brave. Thought I was finally using my gifts. Turns out I was just setting myself up to be humiliated all over again." "You think speaking up was a mistake, wasn't it? The whole world knows my business now. Poor black woman cleaning offices with a master's degree. It's poverty tourism. Inspiration for rich people who'll never understand what it's like to survive the way I've survived." Pastor Williams was quiet for a moment. "Can I tell you something? When I saw that news story, you know what I thought? That I'm pathetic. No. I thought, there's Tasha Wilson. Finally showing the world who she really is. Finally refusing to stay small. Finally using the voice God gave her. He turned to face her. Yes, the story was told badly. Yes, people made it about the wrong things. But you standing up and speaking, that wasn't a mistake. That was courage. Courage that got me humiliated. Courage that saved a company and reminded yourself you're more than your circumstances. Pastor Williams smiled gently. You've been hiding for 7 years, Tasha. Punishing yourself for surviving when your parents didn't. Telling yourself you don't deserve to use your gifts because using them feels like moving on. Like forgetting them. Tasha's eyes burned. They died so I could go to school. They spent everything making sure I wouldn't have debt. And I quit anyway. I failed them. You survived grief that would have destroyed most people. You took care of your grandmother. You worked 2 jobs. You kept going when giving up would have been easier. He put his hand on her shoulder. Your parents would be proud. Not because you finished your PhD. Because you survived. Because you kept your heart soft when the world tried to make it hard. Tears ran down Tasha's face. I don't know what to do now. Tyler Ashford thinks he can fix everything with money and letters. But I don't want to be fixed. I don't want to be his charity case. Is that what he's doing? Or is that what you're afraid he's doing? Tasha wiped her eyes. What's the difference? The difference is truth versus fear. Fear tells you everyone who helps you has ulterior motives. Fear says you don't deserve good things. Fear keeps you safe but alone. Pastor Williams stood. Truth might be that Tyler Ashford is learning to see people for the first time. And you're learning to be seen. Both of you scared. Both of you fumbling. Both of you trying. What if I let him in and he hurts me again? Then you heal and move on. But what if you don't let him in and you miss something real? Something that could change both your lives. Tasha sat in the pew long after Pastor Williams left. The church was quiet except for the heating system's hum and her own breathing. She pulled out her phone. Turned it on for the first time since yesterday. Notifications exploded. Messages. Calls. Emails. She ignored them all. Scrolled to Tyler's name. 3 missed calls. 2 voicemails. 5 texts. She opened the texts. Tasha, I'm so sorry. I didn't leak the story. I fired the person who did. This is my fault for not protecting your privacy better. Please let me make this right. Tell me what you need. I understand if you don't want to talk. But I meant everything I said Monday. You changed me. That doesn't go away just because things got hard. I'm not giving up on being better. Whether you forgive me or not. You showed me what I was missing. I won't forget that. Take all the time you need. I'll be here when you're ready. If you're ever ready. Tasha read the messages 3 times. Heard Anna's words in them. Dr. Castellano's wisdom. Pastor Williams' challenge. She typed a response. Deleted it. Typed again. Deleted again. Finally, I need space. I need to figure out who I am separate from crisis and survival and other people's needs. I need to rescue myself. Can you understand that? She hit send before she could overthink it. The response came 2 minutes later. Yes. I understand completely. Take all the space you need. I'll be here. Tasha put her phone away. Stood. Walked to the front of the church. Looked up at the stained glass Jesus. Light streaming through broken pieces made beautiful. Maybe that's what she was. Broken pieces that could still be beautiful. Still be whole. Still matter. She left the church. Walked home through the November cold. Dorchester streets were busy with pre-Thanksgiving preparations. People carrying groceries. Children playing. Life continuing. At her apartment, Rose was making sweet potato pie. The smell filled the small space with warmth. You okay, baby? Rose asked without turning from the counter. Getting there. Tasha hung up her coat. Grandma, I need to tell you something. I'm listening. I'm going back to school. Spring semester. I'm finishing my PhD. Tasha's voice got stronger. Not because Tyler's helping me. Not because anyone's rescuing me. Because I'm rescuing myself. Because I deserve to use my gifts. Because Mama and Daddy didn't sacrifice everything so I could spend my life hiding. Rose turned. Her eyes were wet. It's about time. I'm scared. Good. Fear means you're doing something that matters. Rose pulled Tasha into a hug. I'm proud of you. So proud. They spent the evening cooking together. Preparing for Thanksgiving tomorrow. Just the two of them. Making traditions. Building life from broken pieces. Tasha's phone buzzed once more before bed. Message from Dr. Castellano. Tasha, I heard about the news story. I'm sorry people made it about the wrong things. But I want you to know, my offer stands. Spring semester. Full scholarship. Your dissertation is waiting. Come finish what you started. Not for anyone else. For yourself. Tasha read the message. Felt something open in her chest. Something that had been locked for 7 years. Hope. She typed back. I'll be there. January 20th. Thank you for not giving up on me. I never did. You're worth believing in. Tasha set her phone down. Looked around her small apartment. Tomorrow she'd spend Thanksgiving with Rose. Next week she'd call Dr. Castellano and start planning her return. In January she'd walk back into BU as a student. As herself. Fully seen. Fully present. And Tyler Ashford? Maybe he'd be there when she was ready. Maybe he wouldn't. Either way, she'd be okay. Because for the first time in 7 years, she was choosing herself. That was enough. Tyler stood on the porch of his aunt's colonial-style home holding a bottle of wine and his courage. Through the front window he could see people moving around. Family. His family. The ones he'd avoided for 2 years. He knocked. The door opened. Rebecca stood there, 23 and bright-eyed. Her face lit up. Uncle Tyler. You actually came. She hugged him before he could respond. Pulled him inside. Everyone's in the dining room. Mom's just putting the turkey on the table. The house smelled like Thanksgiving. Roasted turkey, sweet potatoes, cranberry sauce. Voices and laughter filled the rooms. Tyler followed Rebecca down the hallway, his heart pounding. The dining room held 12 people around an extended table. Aunt Patricia at the head. Cousins and their spouses scattered around. And there, on the far side, Caroline. His sister looked up. Their eyes met. She went very still. Caroline, Tyler said. His voice came out rough. She stood slowly. Walked around the table. Stopped 3 feet from him. Her face was harder than he remembered. Older. Sober. Strong. You came, she said. I came. They stood looking at each other. 2 years of silence between them. 2 years of hurt and anger and things unsaid. Then Caroline stepped forward. Hugged him. Hard and sudden and real. I'm glad you're here, she whispered. Tyler's chest cracked open. He hugged her back. I'm sorry. For everything. For not helping when you needed me. For being more like Dad than I ever wanted to be. For not seeing you. Caroline pulled back. Her eyes were wet. You were protecting yourself. I understand that now. Addiction makes people into weapons. You didn't know how to help without getting hurt. That's not an excuse. No. But it's an explanation. She smiled slightly. We both have things to apologize for. How about we call it even and start over? I'd like that. Aunt Patricia called them to the table. Tyler sat between Caroline and Rebecca. The family held hands for grace. Patricia's voice was warm and steady, thanking God for food, for family, for second chances. Tyler squeezed Caroline's hand. She squeezed back. They ate, talked, laughed. Tyler listened to his cousin's stories about their kids, their jobs, their lives. He asked questions. Really listened to the answers. Didn't check his phone once. After dinner, He and Caroline walked in the backyard while the others cleaned up. November cold bit at their faces. Dead leaves crunched under their feet. "I saw the news story," Caroline said. "About the woman who saved your merger." Tyler winced. "Tasha. Her name is Tasha Wilson." The article made it sound like a fairy tale. "Poor woman gets discovered by rich CEO. But I know you, Tyler. I know it wasn't that simple." "It wasn't." Tyler shoved his hands in his pockets. "I treated her terribly for 3 years. Never saw her. Never knew her name. Then I needed her and suddenly I pretended to care. She saw right through it." "Did you pretend to care?" "No. That's the thing. I really did care. Really did want to change. But she has every reason not to believe me." He looked at Caroline. "How do you prove you've changed when your entire history says otherwise?" Caroline was quiet for a moment. "You don't prove it with words. You prove it with time. With consistent action. With becoming the person you say you want to be whether anyone's watching or not." She asked for space. "I'm trying to respect that. But it's killing me." "Good." Tyler looked at her. "Good." "Yes. Good. You should feel this. Should sit in the discomfort of wanting something you can't have. Of hurting someone and not being able to fix it immediately." Caroline's voice was gentle but firm. "That's what growth feels like, Tyler. It's uncomfortable. It takes time. And you don't get to rush it." They walked in silence. The backyard backed up to woods. Bare trees against gray sky. Beautiful in its starkness. "I'm going back to therapy," Tyler said. "Starting next week." "That's good." "And I called Anna. Apologized for how I treated her." "How'd that go?" "Better than I deserved. She was kind. Gave me advice about giving Tasha space." Tyler stopped walking. Turned to face his sister. "I want to be different, Caroline. Not just say it. Actually be different. Then be different. One choice at a time. One day at a time. Eventually the choices add up to a life." They went back inside. Helped with dishes. Ate pie. Tyler stayed until 7 p.m. Later than he'd stayed at any family gathering in 5 years. On the drive home, his phone buzzed. Text from Tasha. "Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you're with people who love you." Tyler pulled over. Stared at the message. It was the first time she'd initiated contact since Tuesday. Small. But something. He typed back. "I am. With my sister and family. First time in 2 years. Thank you for pushing me to see clearly. Happy Thanksgiving. Tasha." 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. "I'm glad. Keep seeing clearly. Even when I'm not there to remind you. I will. I promise." The dots disappeared. Didn't come back. But it was enough. A crack in the wall. Light coming through. Tasha stood outside Dr. Castellano's office. She'd been standing there for 3 minutes. Her hand was raised to knock. Frozen. Behind this door was her future. Her return to the PhD program. The dissertation she'd abandoned 7 years ago. The life she'd put on hold. She knocked. "Come in." Dr. Castellano looked exactly the same. Late 50s, graying hair, kind eyes behind reading glasses. His office was chaos. Books stacked everywhere. Papers covering every surface. The organized chaos of an academic mind. "Tasha." He stood. Smiled wide. "You're here. You're actually here." "I'm here." They sat. Talked for an hour about her dissertation. About cognitive load in simultaneous interpretation. About the research she'd done 7 years ago that was still relevant, still groundbreaking. "You can defend in April," Dr. Castellano said. 4 months to revise your dissertation based on the new research in the field. Then oral defense. Then you're Dr. Tasha Wilson. Dr. Tasha Wilson. The title she'd given up on. The dream that had felt impossible. "I'm scared," Tasha admitted. "Good. Fear means it matters. He handed her a stack of recent journal articles. Start with these. See how the field has evolved. Then we'll talk about updates to your methodology chapter. Tasha left his office with an armful of articles and a heart full of something she hadn't felt in years. Purpose. She walked through BU's campus. Students rushed past, heading to classes. Young, stressed, alive. She'd been one of them once. Was becoming one again. Her phone buzzed. Text from Rose. How'd it go, baby? Good. Really good. I defend in April. I'm proud of you. Your mama would be proud too. Tasha stopped walking. Sat on a bench near the student center. Pulled out her phone. Opened the photo album she rarely looked at. Her parents. Their last Christmas together. 2017. Her mother's smile. Her father's arm around her shoulders. I'm going back, Mama, Tasha whispered to the photo. I'm finishing what we started. What you sacrificed for. The wind picked up. Cold December air. But Tasha felt warm. Another text. This time from Tyler. I know you asked for space. I'm respecting that. But I wanted you to know, I've been in therapy for 2 weeks now. Working on actually becoming the person I said I wanted to be. Not for you. For me. But also because you showed me what was possible. Thank you for that. Tasha read the message twice. Felt something soften in her chest. Something that had been hard and protected. She didn't respond. Not yet. But she saved the message. Tasha stood at the front of the church. Saturday morning. Special service for new beginnings. Pastor Williams had asked her to share her story. She'd said no 3 times. Yes, the 4th. The congregation filled the pews. Rose sat in front, beaming. Mrs. Patterson. The church ladies who'd known Tasha since she was 6. People who'd watched her grow, stumble, survive. I spent 7 years hiding, Tasha began. Her voice shook slightly. After my parents died, I decided I didn't deserve to use my gifts. Didn't deserve to finish my education. Didn't deserve to be seen. So I made myself invisible. Worked 2 jobs cleaning up other people's messes because I thought that's all I was worth. The church was silent, listening. Then one day, a man needed help. A man who'd never seen me. Who'd treated me like furniture for 3 years. And I had to choose. Stay invisible and safe. Or speak up and risk everything. She told them about Tyler. About the merger. About speaking 9 languages in a powder blue uniform while investors watched. About the news story that humiliated her. About the space she'd needed to remember who she was. I'm back in school now, Tasha said. Her voice was stronger. Defending my PhD dissertation in April. Not because someone rescued me. Because I rescued myself. Because Pastor Williams was right. Hiding doesn't protect you. It imprisons you. Heads nodded. Amens rippled through the congregation. So if you're hiding right now, if you're making yourself small because the world told you that's where you belong, I want to tell you something. Tasha's eyes swept the church. You belong wherever your gifts can shine. You belong in rooms that said you didn't belong. You belong taking up space. Being seen. Using your voice. The congregation stood. Applauded. Rose was crying. Pastor Williams was smiling. After service, people hugged Tasha. Told her their own stories of hiding and finding courage. Mrs. Patterson whispered, Your mama's watching, baby. She's so proud. Tasha was walking to Rose's car when she saw him. Tyler stood by the church steps. Dark jeans, forest green sweater, no tie. He looked different. Softer somehow. Less sharp. Tyler. Her heart jumped. What are you doing here? Rose invited me. 3 weeks ago. She said you were speaking today. Asked if I wanted to come hear your story. He stepped closer. Stopped at a respectful distance. I hope that's okay. If it's not, I'll leave. Tasha looked at Rose. Her grandmother was standing by the car pretending not to watch. It's okay, Tasha said. You can stay. They walked to a bench away from the crowd, sat with space between them. You look good, Tyler said. Different. Happier. I am happier. I'm back in school. Defending my dissertation in April. Working with Dr. Castellano again. It's hard, but it feels right. That's wonderful. I'm so proud of you. He paused. I've been in therapy. Working on myself. Learning how to actually see people instead of just saying I do. It's harder than I thought. Growth usually is. I fired the board member who leaked your story. I wanted you to know that. Rose told me. Thank you. They sat in silence. Not uncomfortable. Just present. I've been wanting to tell you something, Tyler said finally. About that day. When you walked into my office and told me you spoke 9 languages. When I laughed at you. Tasha's jaw tightened. I remember. I've replayed that moment 1,000 times. Wished I could take it back. Do it differently. But I can't. All I can do is own it. Own how cruel I was. How blind. How deeply I hurt you. He turned to face her. I'm sorry. Not because I want something from you. But because you deserve to hear it. You deserve to know that what I did was wrong. That you were brave and I was a coward who couldn't see it. Tasha felt tears press behind her eyes. Thank you. That means something. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know I'm working on being better. Whether we ever speak again or not. Tyler. Tasha turned to look at him. Really look. I've spent 2 months working on myself too. Learning to be seen. Learning to take up space. Learning that my worth isn't determined by how other people treat me. She paused. You hurt me. But I forgive you. Not because you've earned it. Because I don't want to carry anger anymore. It's too heavy. Tyler's eyes went wet. I don't deserve that. Probably not. But grace isn't about deserving. It's about giving anyway. They sat together as the church emptied out. People drove away. The November cold turned to December cold turned to January cold. Seasons changing. People changing with them. Can I ask you something? Tyler said quietly. If I keep doing the work, if I keep becoming someone who actually sees people, who connects, who shows up, would there ever be a chance for us? Not now. But someday. When you're ready. If you're ever ready. Tasha thought about it. Really thought about it. About the Tyler who'd laughed at her. And the Tyler who'd apologized. The Tyler who'd fired a board member to protect her privacy. The Tyler sitting beside her now, vulnerable and honest. Ask me in April, she said. After I defend my dissertation. After I'm Dr. Tasha Wilson. After we've both done the work of becoming who we're supposed to be. Ask me then. Tyler smiled. Real and warm. April. I'll be there. You're coming to my defense? If you'll let me. I want to see you finish what you started. I want to celebrate you. Not as an employer or someone who needs something from you, but as someone who believes in you. Tasha felt something shift. The wall she'd built started to crumble. Not completely, but enough. Okay, she said. You can come. Tasha stood outside the conference room where her dissertation committee waited. She wore a bright yellow dress. The color of sunshine. The color of her Sunday best. The color of someone who refused to be invisible anymore. Inside that room, 3 professors waited to ask her questions about cognitive load in simultaneous interpretation. About her research. About her contribution to the field. Inside that room was her future. The door opened. Dr. Castellano smiled. We're ready for you, Dr. Wilson. Dr. Wilson. Not yet. But soon. Tasha walked in. Defended her dissertation for 90 minutes. Answered every question with confidence and clarity. Used all 9 of her languages as examples. Showed the committee that 7 years away hadn't diminished her brilliance. It had deepened it. When it was over, Dr. Castellano said, Congratulations, Dr. Wilson. You passed with distinction. Tasha felt her knees go weak. She'd done it. 7 years after giving up. 7 years after deciding she didn't deserve it. She'd finished. Outside the conference room, Rose waited. Tyler was there too. And Caroline. And Rebecca. And Pastor Williams. A crowd of people who believed in her when she'd stopped believing in herself. Rose hugged her first. Dr. Wilson. My baby's a doctor. I did it, Grandma. I actually did it. I never doubted you. Tyler hung back. Waited until everyone else had congratulated her. Then stepped forward. You were magnificent, he said. Watching you defend your research, watching you own that room, I've never seen anything more beautiful. Tasha looked at him. 4 months had passed since the church. 4 months of texts. Coffee meetings. Slow, careful steps toward something neither of them could name yet. You asked me a question in January, Tasha said, about whether there could ever be a chance for us. I remember. I have an answer now. Tyler waited, barely breathing. Yes, Tasha said. There's a chance. If you keep showing up. If you keep doing the work. If you keep seeing me not just when you need me but all the time. Then yes. There's a chance. Tyler's face broke into the widest smile she'd ever seen on him. I'll show up. Every day. I promise. Good. Tasha stepped closer. Because I'm not hiding anymore. I'm taking up space. Being seen. Using my voice. And I need someone beside me who can handle that. I can handle it. I want to handle it. Tyler reached for her hand. Stopped. Can I? Tasha placed her hand in his. Yes. They stood together in the hallway outside the linguistics department, surrounded by people who loved them, building something new from broken pieces. Thank you, Tyler said, for giving me a chance I didn't deserve, for teaching me how to see, for being brave enough to speak when staying silent would have been easier. Thank you for finally listening, Tasha said, for doing the work. For becoming someone worth believing in. Rose called them to celebrate. They were going to dinner. The whole group. Family and friends. People who mattered. Tasha and Tyler walked out of the building together. Hand in hand. The April sun was warm on their faces. Spring in Boston. Everything blooming. Everything possible. So what happens now, Dr. Wilson? Tyler asked. Tasha smiled. Now we live. We build. We keep growing. Together. I like the sound of that. They got into Tyler's car. The same car that used to represent everything she couldn't have. Now it was just a car. And Tyler was just a man. And she was just a woman. 2 people who'd been broken finding wholeness together. Tyler started the engine. Where to? Anywhere, Tasha said. As long as we're both showing up. As long as we're both being seen. Deal. They drove toward Rose's favorite restaurant. Toward celebration. Toward family. Toward a future neither of them could have imagined 6 months ago. And in the rearview mirror, the past got smaller. The pain. The hiding. The invisibility. All of it fading. What remained was love. Hard won. Real. Built on seeing and being seen. On speaking and being heard. On 2 people who'd been blind finding sight together. Tyler reached for Tasha's hand at a stoplight. She squeezed back. I love you, he said. Simple. True. I love you too, Tasha said. Now drive. We have a celebration waiting. And they did. A celebration of endings and beginnings. Of sight restored. Of voices found. Of love at last. 6 months later, Tasha unlocked the door to the apartment she'd moved into 3 months ago. Not Tyler's apartment. Not her Dorchester place with Rose. Their apartment. Together. Equal names on the lease. Equal say in the furniture. Equal partnership. The space was smaller than Tyler's old penthouse. Just 900 square feet. But it had light. Large windows overlooking the Charles River. Bookshelves they'd built together holding her linguistics texts and his business books side by side. Photos on the walls. Her parents. His sister Caroline sober and smiling. Rose at Tasha's PhD graduation. Tyler was already home. She could smell dinner cooking. Actual cooking. Not takeout. Not catered meals. Tyler had been taking cooking classes for 4 months. Part of his therapy homework. Learning to create instead of just consume. "Hey," he called from the kitchen. "How was your first day?" "I don't know. He hurt me. Shaped me into someone I hated. Made me believe people were assets or obstacles." Tyler's arm tightened around Tasha. "But he's also gone. Can't change. Can't apologize. Can't become better. So holding on to anger just poisons me." "What did your therapist say?" "She said forgiveness isn't about him. It's about me. About releasing the weight so I can move forward." Tyler was quiet for a moment. "I think I'm getting there. Slowly." Tasha understood. She'd had similar conversations with her own therapist. The one she'd started seeing in February. Processing grief about her parents. Learning to stop punishing herself for surviving. Building a life that honored their memory without being imprisoned by it. "I'm proud of you," Tasha said. "For doing the hard work. For becoming someone different. For choosing growth even when it hurts. I'm proud of you too. For speaking up. For finishing your PhD. For refusing to stay invisible." He kissed the top of her head. "For giving me a chance to be better." They sat together as evening turned to night. The apartment was warm. Safe. Theirs. Tasha thought about where she'd been a year ago. Cleaning Tyler's office in a powder blue uniform. Invisible. Silent. Hidden. Surviving but not living. She thought about where she was now. Dr. Tasha Wilson. Professor. Researcher. Partner. Seen. Heard. Present. Living fully. "Tyler," she said quietly. "Yeah. Ask me again." "Ask you what?" "What you asked me in January. At the church. About us. About our future." Tyler sat up slightly. Looked at her face. "Are you sure?" "Yes. Ask me." Tyler took her hand. "Tasha Wilson. If I keep showing up, if I keep doing the work, if I keep seeing you and valuing you and being the partner you deserve, is there a future for us? Not just dating. Not just living together. But building a life. Getting married. Growing old. All of it." Tasha felt tears press behind her eyes. Good tears. Healing tears. "Yes. There's a future. I want all of it. With you." Tyler's face broke into that smile she loved. Wide. Genuine. Reaching his eyes. "Really? Really?" Tasha laughed. "But I'm keeping my own bank account. And my own career. And my own name professionally. Dr. Tasha Wilson has a nice ring to it. I wouldn't want it any other way." Tyler pulled her close. "Equal partners. Both of us whole. Both of us showing up. Deal." They kissed. Long, deep. Real. Two people who'd been blind learning to see. Two people who'd been silent finding their voices. Two people who'd been broken becoming whole together. Outside, Boston moved through October. Inside, love lived. Hard won. Fought for. Built on seeing and being seen. On speaking and being heard. On two people choosing each other every day. Not a fairy tale. Not a rescue story. Not poor woman saved by rich man. But two equals finding partnership. Two humans building something real from broken pieces. That night, before bed, Tasha called Rose. "Hey, Grandma. Just wanted to say I love you." "I love you too, baby. Everything okay?" "Everything's perfect. Tyler and I are getting serious. Really serious. I wanted you to know." Rose laughed. Warm. Knowing. "Baby, I've known since January. Since he showed up at church looking at you like you hung the moon. That man loves you. Question is, do you love him?" "Yes. I do. Completely." "Then be happy. You deserve it. Your mama would be so happy for you. After hanging up, Tasha looked at the photo on her nightstand. Her parents. Christmas 2017. The last good memory. She touched her mother's face in the photo. I did it, Mama. I finished school. I'm using my gifts. I'm happy. Really happy. Her voice cracked. I hope that makes you proud. Tyler appeared in the doorway. Your mom would be incredibly proud. You know that, right? Yeah, I do. They got ready for bed. Brushed teeth. Changed clothes. Did all the mundane things that make a life. Then climbed into bed together. Tyler's arm around Tasha. Her head on his chest. Safe. Whole. Home. Thank you, Tyler whispered into the darkness. For what? For speaking up that Monday morning. For saving my company. For saving me. You're welcome. But Tyler. Yeah. You saved yourself. I just reminded you that you could. They fell asleep like that. Two people who'd found each other in the wreckage. Two people building something beautiful from the broken pieces. Two people learning that love at last isn't about perfection. It's about showing up, being present, seeing and being seen, and every day choosing each other again. Thank you for staying with me until the very end of this incredible journey. If this story touched your heart, wait until you see what's coming next. It's even more powerful and inspiring than you can imagine. So don't go anywhere. Click on that video showing on your screen right now to dive into another amazing story that will absolutely blow your mind. Trust me, you won't regret it.